Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Tuesday, December the 12th, 2017. Good to have you all here for our first and only show of this week, as we got a lot to do and we're running a little bit behind. But as always, as we start the show, let me remind you all of the ways which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember to use the hashtag #ITSpotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And of course, you can find us on Facebook. To search In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and then make sure that you like our fan page once you're on it or once you find it. Or when you all know the drill. Or at least most of you do. Unless you're new, then you don't. But anyway, all right, so we have a lot to. This is our first and only show of this week. We are not on the air on Thursday, as I've been announcing for the last couple of weeks. And yes, I'm just going to come right out and say I am going to see Star Wars, so kind of unprofessional on my part, but still, that is what's happening. So I'm just going to be straight up honest. I don't take too many days, I don't take too many days to go do something like that. I usually, if we cancel a show, it's for another reason. It's never for something like that for me. But in this case, it's this time around. It's some. I'm just going to come out and say it's for that. It's for a personal reason in terms of seeing a movie I want to see on opening night. So, and I'm sure that's something that a lot of you are going to do. So far be it for me to be the only person saying that. I'm sure many of you are going to do that. So I'm not the only one. So very few movies I go do that for, and this is one of them. So that is what I will be doing on Thursday. So we'll not have a show, which works in our favor because we'll also have later on in this month, we'll have a week where we only have one show, so it kind of evens out. But anyway, so Thursday, no show. So we got a lot to do tonight. We have wrestling. We got preview WWE's Clash of Champions pay-per-view, which we'll do at the end of the show. We will not be doing questions and comments. We've been doing a lot of those anyway. We've been doing the wrestling show. We've been able to do individual wrestling shows along the way, which has been great. So, Royal Rumble coming up next month. I figure, hey, we don't really have to get it. And we don't have the time anyway. So tonight we'll just preview the pay-per-view and make some predictions. So we'll do that. On the entertainment side, box office be in the Spotlight TV picks. We won't do any film picks of the week or anything. We don't have time for that. So we'll just get the stuff in that we have to get in. On the sports side, we have to talk the winter meetings, which will be the majority of our discussion. We're going to quickly do some NFL. Not much to talk about there. We won't do any college football. People keep asking about the bowls and everything. We'll talk about those as we get closer and do a preview and all that, but not right now. It's a little too soon there to do that. We probably won't do too much in college basketball. I'll touch on a few things, a couple big wins and losses and stuff, and we'll leave it at that. It was a big week in college basketball, a lot of topsy-turvy action. We'll just kind of touch on it and move on. I didn't put it in the show description, but obviously we're going to talk about John Carlos Stanton. That kind of fits into the winter meetings talk, so we will talk about that as well on the program. So a lot to do there. We're going to start with the film awards. We're going to start that process tonight very early. I'll explain that, and we'll kind of go through it quickly because really, it's if you ask for a ballot, it's pretty self-explanatory. Everything that you need to know will be on it, so I don't need to go over everything like I used to. We talked about this the last few times. Now the way we do things now, I don't have to go over it in detail because if you ask for a ballot, all the information is going to be on there. So, we'll start the process tonight. I'll give you all the important dates, and we'll get the ball rolling on that here. I didn't put in the show description, but Golden Globes nominations are out. We'll talk briefly about those as well. I couldn't put a lot of things in the show description because we've got so much to do, and it was already long enough. So that's why I didn't do it. But we'll talk a little bit about those as well, time permitting. So a lot to do tonight. Next week, we'll be back on the air with 2 shows, and it'll be a pretty normal week. We'll do sports and wrestling on Tuesday. Raw, SmackDown, talk about the fallout from Clash of the Champions, NFL stuff, all that kind of stuff we'll do on Tuesday. And then next Thursday, entertainment, our entertainment show for that next week, box office BTV high. And we'll probably do something special. I don't know what it will be yet. I mean, not something big, but like something to fill the time. We'll do that next week. And then the week after, again, we'll probably not have a show that Tuesday because it's the day after Christmas. You know, a lot of people have been emailing me and saying, well, why preempt? You know, it's the day after Christmas, and yeah, people are in and out, but it's no different than really a lot of December where people are kind of in and out and busy. Why not do a show? And you know, there's some good points, but at the same time, I kind of feel like, you know, we've always kind of had we've always. I just feel like it's in the best interest to not do one. We'll do one on Thursday, and that will be it. Usually that week we always do one. Now, usually the week after we do too, because the way things fall, it's usually Christmas and New Year's are usually in the middle of the week. This year it's not. We are going to do 2 shows the week after. We are. But the week between Christmas and New Year's we'll just stick to one show. I don't think you're gonna. I mean, highly doubt I'll change my mind on that. But a lot of people have been trying to get me to change my mind, which is kind of surprising. But you know, hey. Maybe people want a show. Maybe because they're off from work. Maybe they figure they can listen. I don't know. But it's highly doubtful I'll change my mind. So don't get too excited if you're somebody that wants me to have a show that night. So anyway, let's get right down to it. Let's get into things here because we got a lot to do. All right, so let me start with the Film Awards. So, well, because he's on air right now. Let me bring him in so he doesn't think I ignored him. Mike, you're in the spotlight.
You ignored me. How dare you?
How dare I?
How could you?
I know, right? Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge you. So here's the okay. So let me get to the Film Award stuff first. As I said, I'm going to start with that. All right. So here's the deal. For those of you, and I don't think it's well. It might not be too many, but we do have some new fans. So I have to explain this. For those of you that have never been through this kind of process before, all right, we do 2 awards a year. We do the Film Awards, which is usually we usually present them around February, March. We usually start the process in January. And then the TV Awards, which we usually start the process in maybe around June. Then, you know, we do present them in like early September. It used to be late September. Now it's early September. So we do these twice a year. They were born out of the of a frustration with the Emmys, the Golden Globes, the Oscars, and you know, people kept saying it was way back when we started the show, oh, you should have your own awards, you should do this is great, do your own awards and do it the way you'd want it done. So we set up a system, we got some volunteers, we put together, you know, the Film Awards, and then the Film Awards gave birth also to the TV Awards, and we've done it ever since. And over the years, we've perfected our system, and you know, made it better as we went along. And you know, we're always looking at ways to make it better. But you know, the Film Awards usually are we don't mess with them too much. TV Awards we try to tinker with every now and then. But hey, that's what they are. So, you know, usually the way this process works is the first step is what we're doing right now, which is, you know, the beginning of the process, which involves those that want to participate requesting a ballot. Now, this is simple because and this is something to keep in mind. Everything you do with this awards show, okay, if you're going to participate, is done by email. We do not do this on Facebook or Twitter. You can ask questions by Facebook and Twitter, but you cannot make submissions via Facebook and Twitter. So it has to be done by email only at itspotlight411@gmail.com. So, and this includes this first step, which is the ballot request. Now, the ballot request is a very simple thing. Realistically, you know, it should be a quick thing, but sometimes, you know, people procrastinate and end up doing it at the last minute. Now, normally I give you all a week to do it, and you are going to have a week because we're not going to have a show on Thursday. So that's now starting right now, you can submit a ballot request. Now, for those who don't know what a ballot request is, most of you do, but to those that don't, all you do is you send an email to me or to the show requesting a ballot for the In the Spotlight Film Awards. All right. Now, you don't even have to write anything in the email. You can just put in the subject line ballot request in the Spotlight Film Awards. That's all you have to do, and you'll get a ballot. If you want to put in the email something like this is my ballot request, and you can do that, but you don't even have to do that. All right, as long as you put in the subject line what it's for, and say Film Awards ballot request, then I'll know what you're talking about. Okay, so that's all you have to do. All right, it's a very simple thing. In fact, I always encourage people. And thankfully, the majority of you do it. I always encourage people to do that while we're on the air when I'm explaining. So right now, just do it. If you're on your computer or you're on your phone, just go to your email. Immediately just send an email to us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. And then you got it out and it's done. And then you'll probably get your ballot tonight. That's the quickest way to do it. That's the best way to do it. That's the best way to make sure you remember to do it. So, it's a simple thing. All right. That's the first step. You have a week. So our next show is next Tuesday. That's when we cut off ballot requests. After that, there will be no more requests for ballots, and the nomination phase will begin. For those that have not been through this before, all instructions related to the nominations will be on your ballot should you request one, along with any information pertaining to the awards and any important dates. I will tell you the important dates on the air right now, but again, all this information will be on your sheet, along with, on your ballot, along with the ways in which I can't make anybody vote or do things a certain way. I can't do that. But I can certainly encourage you all to look at to handle this a certain way. And through the years, you've never let me down, whether it's the film awards or the TV awards. I do feel like people actually take it seriously and try to not just be about their favorites and their biases, but about who they think deserves it. Who they think deserves to be nominated or win. So I've always been pretty pleased with who's been represented in both the film and TV awards. So, but if you look on your ballot, to those that will request one, when you get your ballot, you'll see a little part on the bottom that kind of details how I think people should look at acting performances, these films, how I think they should critique them, how I think you should vote, how I think you should put together your ballots. And again, it's merely me and how I think people should view it and how people should go about it. Does not mean you have to do it that way. Okay, this is not me trying to act superior and go like, this is the way to do it, huh? This is just the way I think it's, in my opinion, this is how I do it. And I think in my opinion, it's the best way to look at things. Okay, so again, you could disagree, and that's fine. I don't get angry. I don't stomp my feet when people disagree with me. That's not how I do things. So, but it's just a helpful way, a helpful suggestion on ways to look at things and put together your ballot and judge things as you're going through this process. And I always say this. I always encourage people when we're going through this process, whether it's the film or TV awards, go out there and try to look at as much of the work as possible. Go watch some of these films that you haven't seen. Again, I know you can't watch every one of them, but go try it out. Go see. Watch a few clips. Watch a few performances. Go kind of put your foot in the water and see maybe there's something out there that you think wasn't good enough, and then you end up watching and go, wow, that was good. It changes your whole perception. So that's always what I encourage people to do, and you'll see that on the ballot should you request one. All right, so that's all the rules, all the important information will be on your ballots. Now, important dates. Again, ballot request cutoff is next day, which is December the 19th. That is the ballot request cutoff point. So 9:00 p.m. Eastern, when we start the show next week, that will be the cutoff point. No more ballot requests will be accepted, and then the nomination phase begins. Now, let me clarify something here first. Once you get your ballot, the nomination phase essentially begins. You can start putting it together, and you can start, doing what you need to do. All right, don't think you just have to wait till next Tuesday. Once you get your ballot, go to town. Okay, just because I'm saying, well, the phase begins next Tuesday, it technically starts when you get your ballot. It's just that's I'm just thinking in terms of that's the cutoff date for the ballot, for the ballot requests. So next Tuesday is the cutoff date for the ballot requests. After that, obviously we got Christmas. The week after, as I said, Tuesday, December 26th, we more than likely 99% sure will not have a show. We'll only have a show Thursday, December 28th. Now, I like to give people at least, I usually like to give people at least 2 weeks to put their nominations together. In the past, we've given people as much as a month. We're not doing that this year. Well, you're going to get 2 weeks, but January 4th is when the nomination ballots are going to be due. That's a Thursday. I thought about doing it on the 2nd, but I decided with New Year's and that, I thought that might be a bad idea. So January 4th is when the nomination ballots will be due. So you got from now, for those that request tonight, from really now till January 4th. That's a good amount of time. It's about a month. It's almost a month. It's a week less than I probably would have liked to have done, but we're on a little bit of we're changing things up a little bit this year. So January 4th is when the nomination ballots will be due. We will announce the nominations on Thursday, January 11th. Okay, Thursday, January 11th, when we will announce the nominations for the 8th Annual In the Spotlight Film Awards. Once we announce the nominations, everybody that's been a participant, okay, those of you out there that have a ballot, you will receive a ballot to decide the winners. Okay, so you don't have to send another ballot request. We'll automatically send it to you. To those that maybe you're somebody that didn't participate in helping to decide the nominations, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I want to participate. You can't do that. You either have to start at the beginning or you can't do it at all. It's just the way the process goes. All right, so if you're going to be involved, you got to be involved now. You got to go through the whole thing. All right, so keep that in mind. So January 11th, we announce the nominations, and then obviously that night you can get to work. As soon as we send you the winning ballots, which is usually right during the show on the 11th, we start sending ballots out to people. Once you get your winning ballot, you can immediately go to town on deciding the winners, and then we will give you all until January 25th. Actually, pardon me, January 23rd. January 23rd. Is when we will have the winning ballots due. That is a Tuesday. So the winning ballots will be due on Tuesday, January 23rd. And that will be, again, that's when the winning ballots will be due. And we will announce the winners on Tuesday, January 3rd. If we're doing it on a Tuesday, we're going to switch things up schedule-wise this year. The reason why we're doing that, okay, number one, I've after years of doing it at the end of February, early March, and look, there's a personal reason too, and I'll get into that in a second. I was already toying with the idea of moving this up, because I even though the whole point of it was, oh, we do it right after the Oscars and washes the Oscars, it kind of gets rid of the bitter taste of the Oscars, But at the same time, by the time you get to the Oscars, so many people are beyond award season, they don't care anymore. This is smack dab in the middle of award season, doing it at the end of January. So I think it's right in the middle of when people are at their peak of caring, and I'm hoping that maybe we get more people that maybe aren't necessarily, because obviously if you participate in the process, you care. But if we get the people that don't, maybe they're the people that just listen to us out of habit, or maybe they're people on the outside looking in a little bit. Maybe get some casuals, pick them up to kind of be interested and go, oh, I wonder who's going to win. I wonder if people are going to decide. So maybe it gets some more people interested than maybe wouldn't necessarily be. But more importantly, on a personal level, my wife is due February 26th. So anywhere at the end of February, early March, she could go into labor. And that's usually right around the time that we do this. So naturally, I'm not going to plan to do something like this during that time. Okay, so that's another reason why this had to be done earlier this year. So, and because we want to make changes to the show and there's things that we want to do in January, February, it also makes sense to do it this way as well. So that's kind of a lot of things went into this decision to do this, and I just think it works better. So, so there you go. That's the reasoning behind all of it. So again, everything, rules, information, important dates is on your ballot. Please, again, ballot requests, start doing them now. Start sending them in now. I've already seen some coming in. Again, ballot request cutoff is next Tuesday, December 19th at 9 o'clock Eastern time. We will not accept any more ballot requests after that. On Thursday, January 4th, the nomination ballots are due at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. We will announce the nominations for the In the Spotlight Film Awards on Thursday, January 11th. And winning ballots will be due on Tuesday, January 23rd at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And then on Tuesday, January the 30th, we will announce the winners of the 8th Annual In the Spotlight Film Awards. We will do, as always, our live award voting. We'll start that process the night we announce the nominations for the In the Spotlight Film Awards. Again, for those that do not know, those are anybody can participate in those, even if you haven't been involved in the process. Anybody can. Usually, the night we announce the nominees for the film awards is the night that we ask for We ask for submissions for nominees for whatever the live awards are. Live awards are the awards that we present and vote on live during the Film Awards broadcast on January 30th. So on the night we announce the nominees for the Film Awards, we'll start asking for submissions for nominees for the live voted awards. And then on the night that the winning ballots are due, which is January the 23rd, we will we will close that process, and then we'll announce the nominees for the live voted awards right at the beginning of the Film Awards on Tuesday, January 30th. And then you'll have about an hour to vote on those awards during the broadcast. And, you know, and then we'll announce the winners right before we announce the biggest award of the night, Best Picture. So that's how all that works. So if you have any questions, I said you can ask questions by email, you can ask questions by Facebook, by Twitter. You can do them by all. You can do by all that. You can ask questions no matter on social media or email, but you cannot make submissions by social media. Again, you can only make submissions, ballot requests, nomination submissions, winning submissions can only be due by email only at itspotlight411@gmail.com. Please remember that. And again, ballot requests, start doing them now. You have 1 week to do those. So get that ball rolling right now. So the Film Awards process has begun earlier than usual, but it has begun. So always exciting time, and a little earlier this year, but still doesn't change anything. Oh, and one more thing. Even though we're starting this process early, okay, because I know I'm gonna get a question about this. The film, anything that comes out this month, right up to December 31st, 2017, is eligible. So even if it hasn't come out yet, okay. Now I know that kind of is like, well, wait a minute, but remember, you're not submitting your nomination ballots till January 4th. So you got time. You can wait on some movies and see them right up to the end of the year and still submit them. So anything right up until December 31st, 2017, from January 1st, 2017, right up to December 31st, 2017 is eligible for these awards. So keep that in mind. All right. So Film Award stuff is done. That is it for that. All right. Now we can jump into other things, and we can jump in. We're going to jump head first right now into sports here. I'm going to do the NFL first, and then we'll do baseball and move around and do everything else. I want to leave the wrestling for last because I just think it's better that way. All right, so we got the NFL. First of all, let's see how we did on our picks for this week really quickly here, so I can bring them up right away, so I don't have to worry about finding them. So it was an interesting week around the league. Wow, I can't talk today. It feels like a Monday, even though it's a Tuesday. It was an interesting week around the league. Very interesting week. Really concluding with last night's upset, which was just huge for a number of reasons, which I'll get to in a moment. But it was a week, you're week 14, you're less than 5 games left. It was a devastating week for some. Obviously, Carson Wentz going down with the season-ending injury, which is devastating for the Eagles. They win the division. They finally clinch the division, and then you get that. And look, the Eagles went from. Are they still an elite team? I don't think you can take them off that pedestal. Okay, I don't think you can, because their defense is still good enough, and Nick Foles is probably one of the, if not the best backup in the league. He's one of them. They can still win games with Nick Foles. It just depends. Now it depends more on matchups. The Eagles didn't worry about matchups when they had Carson Wentz. Now it's going to depend more on matchups. I don't take them off the look. Do they drop down maybe a peg? Yeah, but they're still on that elite level. But that's still a devastating injury and opens up things in the NFC. It really does. So it was a week of devastation for the Eagles. A week, some teams suffered big setbacks. The Saints getting beat by the Falcons in a huge win for the Falcons that keeps their hopes at the NFC South alive and their NFC playoff hopes alive, and drops the Saints back a little bit. And that's huge because this presents a big issue. Big win for the Falcons, a tough loss for the Saints. On the flip side of things, you had the Panthers beat the Vikings, which ties them with the Saints, and the Falcons now a game back. So that NFC South race is a sight to behold. It was a big win for the Panthers and the Vikings. That was huge because with the Eagles in the situation they're in, you wanted to keep pressure on them for that #1 spot. Well, they lose, and they drop back 1 game behind the Eagles with 3 to go. And that's huge because even though the Eagles won't have Carson Wentz, the Eagles only have to win 2 games, find a way to win 2 games to clinch this one spot. And that one spot's going to be big because the less games that the Eagles have to play, the better for their circumstance. So that's a big loss for the Vikings. And I said, Panthers can beat the Vikings at their own game. They're not going to be deterred. They're very. The one thing the Panthers have the Vikings didn't was a better quarterback. And even though Case Keenum's had a good year, Cam Newton's better. Whether you like the guy or not, he's better. And that ended up being the difference. So that was a huge shakeup there. Some huge shakeups in the NFC. And like I said, the Eagles winning with a dose of devastation. The other side of that game was the Rams, who suffered a loss to the Eagles. And I'm going to be honest, that Eagle-Ram game, other than Carson Wentz getting hurt, was one of the best games all year. It had good offense, it had big defensive moments. It was and it was big. And that's a big loss for the Rams. They got bailed out a little bit by the Seahawks losing, but that's a big loss because if the Rams somehow won that, they probably would have put the Seahawks away for that division. Now the door is still somewhat open for Seattle in that division. Now Seattle got beat by the Jaguars, and that might be the most impressive win Jacksonville has had all season. I know it was at home, but to beat Seattle and to do it in solid form, on both sides of the ball, with Russell Wilson doing what he does in the fourth quarter, that's a signature win for the Jaguars. And the Jaguars, they're on their way. The Jaguars are on their way. I think they're going to make it here. They're 9-4. I mean, one more win should about do it. So that was a huge win for them. And a tough loss for Seattle, who had a chance to tie the Rams this week. And then the Steelers come out with a huge gut check win, 39-38 on Sunday Night Football. In a tough game, obviously, with Shazier and everything. They had to overcome a lot mentally, and they did it. And look, this is what we talked about with the Steelers. You know what you're going to get offensively, but not defensively. Both these teams defensively are nowhere near what they once were. But the Steelers more so. I mean, what they did in this game, defensively was terrible. And that's the reason why, you look at the Steelers, you look at the Patriots. If you're worried about defense, don't be, because neither team can play good defense. Neither team can. And that's the bottom line. So, somebody's going to win this AFC with a pretty porous defense. But, defense might not end up mattering to the Super Bowl as far as the AFC team goes. But it was a huge win for the Steelers. And that loss might be enough to knock Baltimore out. Because you're starting to see, Baltimore's still there, but you look around, and Titans are right there at 8-5. They're above them. I guess they're still alive, right? But you got, Oakland. I don't think Oakland. That loss to the Chiefs, and by the way, that was a huge win by the Chiefs. Talk about a must win after all the struggles and losing. And have 4-game skid going on, and it wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. 26-15. They got the job done with defense, and they finally started running the ball. If they run the football and they get that job done with their defense, they're going to win the game. That's what they were doing early on. So maybe that's something that putting their backs in. Maybe they do what they've done in the last few years, which is late in the season, they kind of come into their own. Maybe that was a turnaround game. But that loss by the Raiders probably knocks them out. I know they're only a game back of the Chiefs, but I kind of think they can't. Look, if Kansas City gets one win here, Raiders have to win out, and they have to hope that the Chiefs lose a game. Now, could the Chiefs lose a game? Certainly they could. I don't know if I see the Raiders winning out, though. So, to me, that was a pretty big shift. That was a big win for the Chiefs and devastating for the Raiders. And then the Chargers continue to keep pace, with a big win over the Redskins, which puts the Redskins firmly away. They keep pace. Titans had a devastating loss to Arizona, which drops them. Again, they're still there, but that could come into play late here. Jets pretty much got finished off by the Broncos, not that they were in it. Lions are still alive, barely. Cowboys, again, big win over the Giants, still alive, but barely. And the Packers had to go to overtime with the Browns, but that's big because now Aaron Rodgers. Now people are saying, well, they're still deciding and nobody knows, but Aaron's going to play. The Packers still have a chance at the playoffs. They have to win out, but they still have a chance. And with that, Aaron Rodgers is going to play. And look, they have to win every game. Do I see it happening? I mean, on the surface, no, but we've seen Aaron Rodgers before, and he's, remember he did this a couple years ago. Hey, we're going to win out, and they did. So who knows? Packers are still alive, though. And the Bills are still alive after an ugly 13-7 win over the Colts in the snow. They're still alive at 7-6. So this is why I'm saying that, Ravens and, it's going to be tough because you got other teams there with you. But so some teams with some big wins, some teams with, that were kind of hanging by a thread, some big losses, and, some teams are barely hanging on. So, some movement, last year we had last night's Monday night game, which was, look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. New England has trouble in Miami. They always have. Tom Brady has not had good games. He had one of his worst games of his career last night. The only thing that kept me from picking the Dolphins over the Patriots last night was the fact this game is in December, and the Patriots don't usually lose in December no matter where they're at. They're usually good at closing out the season. Well, they weren't last night. Dolphins just worked them, and the Dolphins are, I guess you could say they're still alive. I don't see it, but they're still alive. But, hey, they spoiled the Patriots here, and the Patriots drop a game out behind the Steelers for the one seed in the AFC, which is huge with 3 games to go, especially when the two teams play next week. It's huge. Because even if the Patriots win that, they're now tied with the Steelers. And then you got the tiebreaker if you're the Patriots, but still, that's how big of a win that was for the loss for the Patriots. That was. So a lot of seismic shifts in terms of some of the seeding, not too much in terms of who's in play for the playoffs. So how are we doing on our picks? I had Saints over Falcons. That's a loss. I had Raiders over Chiefs. That's a loss. I thought the Chiefs were floundering, which they were, but they came up big. I had Vikings over Panthers. That's a loss. Eagles over Rams. That's a win. Steelers over Ravens. That's a win. And Seahawks over Jags. That's a loss. So terrible week for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2-4. So after several good weeks, I've had 2 back-to-back 2-4 weeks. So it was a week of big shifts in the NFL. A week of big shifts in terms of seeding, in terms of some big losses, but that's what you want late in the season. Again, the picture is what it is. And now we flip the script and we jump to week 15. 3 games to go in the regular season. And week 15 presents some very interesting matchups around the league. And I think could settle a lot of things this weekend, or at least set the stage to settle a lot of things coming out of this weekend. So big week of matchups here that I think are huge to look at. Let's see here as I pull up the week 15 numbers here. Thursday Night Football offers nothing with Broncos Colts. Bears Lions, not really, Lions have to win, but all right, first game we're going to pick. Got 2 Saturday games. Now that you don't have college football, we introduced the Saturday games. I'm not going to pick Bears Lions. Again, not much on the line. The Lions have to win. Chargers Chiefs, 8:25 p.m. Eastern on the NFL Network from Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium. Chargers at the 760. Both teams have identical records. Both teams tied at the top of the AFC West. To me, the winner of this game probably wins the division. I think the Chargers are starting to scare some people. This is a big game for the Chiefs. They had a big turnaround last week, but their backs against the wall. They kind of look like the old Chiefs. I like what I saw there. The Chargers in the past, whenever they've gotten close to having a breakthrough, whether it's making a playoff spot or in a big game situation, they've never come through. I'm operating under that again. I think the Chiefs win this game, especially at home. They know their backs are still against the wall. They see an opportunity here to put themselves in the driver's seat and try to salvage this season for themselves. I like the Chiefs over the Chargers at home. As long as they play the way they did last week with their defense in the run game, I think they win. Because that's their strength. And, we saw it last week. So if we see it this week, I think the Chiefs win. I'm going to go with the Chiefs here. Let's see. What else is on the docket here? Let's go. Let's get the obvious game out of the way. 4:25 p.m. Eastern on CBS. The 10-3 Patriots at the 11-2 Steelers at Heinz Field. This game is probably the biggest game of the weekend. If the Steelers win, they're 2 games up with 2 to go. Plus, they got the tiebreaker. Steelers win this game, they clinch the 1 seed. in the AFC. If the Patriots win, there's a tie with 2 games to go, and obviously the Patriots would hold the tiebreaker. Big game. It's going to be a lot of offense. Both teams have same issues on defense, so I don't think you look for anything there. Really, it really might end up coming down to who has the ball late. I like the Patriots here. The Patriots always seem to be, I know it's in Pittsburgh, but they're coming off a loss. They know how big this game is. And I don't know if I trust the Steelers to be able to make a stop late, because that's what's going to come down. Even though both defenses are very, very bad, okay, as far as passing defense goes, I trust the Patriots to find a way to make a stop more than I do the Steelers. So with that, I'm going to pick the Patriots over the Steelers. What should be might be one of the best games of the year, that game, given how the stakes are. Another interesting game in that 4 o'clock window, 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern on Fox, the 9-4 Rams at the 8-5 Seahawks. Rams win this game, they put the Seahawks away. Seahawks win this game. We have a tie for the NFC West. Big game. I've really been impressed with the Rams on both sides of the ball. I think they've done some good things. Seattle has kind of, had a season where you think that, it's definitely been a better season than last year, much more consistent. They've lost some tough games. Their defense is back to doing its thing. Offensively, Russell Wilson in the fourth quarter has been a dominant presence. I like Seattle here. I like the way they've been playing. I like the way they've been playing, especially obviously we know how they play in their building, which is key here. And I think this is something that the Rams have not had to overcome adversity and play a team like the Seahawks, who have experience in these kind of late season type let's win this game and put ourselves in a good situation type situations. So the Seahawks know what kind of game this is. They've been good at finishing off seasons and putting themselves in the position to go to where they want to go. And they know this game can go a long way to taking them where they want to go. So when they know that, they're at their best. And I think Seattle will be at their best. I think they'll beat the Rams in this game. So Seattle over LA. 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Fox from Charlotte, North Carolina, the Packers at the Panthers. Right now, they haven't announced it, but I'm going to assume Aaron Rodgers is going to play. Now, this is not the type of team that you like bringing a quarterback that just came back from a broken collarbone and is throwing shoulder back against. Panthers are very physical defensively. They're going to come at him. This is not going to be easy for Aaron Rodgers if he's out there. It's going to be a gritty kind of game. The Packers defense is going to have to be on its game. I think that, look, if this were at home, I might pick Green Bay. And it's hard for me to pick against Aaron Rodgers when he knows when his back's against the wall. But I have to go with the Panthers here. I think the game will be close, but I have to go with the Panthers here. I just don't know matchup-wise if this works quite well for the Packers, especially with a quarterback that's banged up. Now, there's a lot of games on here, like Dolphins-Bills, which, winner is pretty much eliminated from playoff kind. Ravens-Browns, not a good game. Bengals-Vikings, Jets, Saints, not really. I mean, Eagles, Giants. A lot of these games feature teams that are just about improving seeding or improving their standing. There's not too many other close, good games on the docket. So I have to pick 2 more. So I'm going to pick the 2 games that seem to have the most playoff relevancy. Let me pick the Dolphins and the Bills first. Like I said, that game involves 2 teams that are still in the playoff hunt barely, and the loser's going to be out. If the Bills win at 8-6, they're very much alive. If the Dolphins lose when they're barely alive, but they're alive. Dolphins come off a huge win against the Patriots. The Bills come off a huge win in the snow. Defensively, both teams are on their game right now. So if you're going to go with a lower scoring game, I favor the Bills. So that's what I'm going to go. I'm favoring a lower scoring game because this game's in Buffalo. Miami doesn't play as well away from home. So I'm going to go with all that in mind. I'm going to go with the Bills here. But this should be an ugly, kind of scrappy kind of game. And who knows? But I like the Bills in those kind of games better typically than the Dolphins, especially when they're on the road. And the Dolphins are. And then I'm going to pick the Sunday night game because, again, Falcons-Buccaneers on Monday. Tampa has a tendency to knock off good teams in their building. And they might do that there, but that game doesn't have as many implications. I mean, it would if I mean, obviously Tampa beats Atlanta. You know, it would cause Atlanta some issues with the playoffs. But sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So obviously, if Atlanta lost, that would put them in a. So if obviously if Atlanta, yeah, I know we got that on the thing. I don't think that's something to laugh at, by the way. Hey, wait a minute, Mike. If you heard that, that's not something to laugh at, just for real.
Well,
But
I
okay.
know. I'm laughing at the fact that your mom made it on the radio.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would laugh if that wasn't something bad, but okay. So be a jackass. That's
Did you
okay.
want to stop and
No, I'm not.
take care of it?
No, I'll
Then
take
who's
care of it
the
later.
Brian? Then who's the jackass now?
All right.
You.
Anyway,
Well, I mean, me too, but
I'm surprised
definitely
you
you
were
too.
paying attention. Anyway, I thought this thing took away ambient noise, but I guess not. Anyway,
You need a pop filter.
I can't believe you were paying attention. Shock of all shocks. Anyway, sorry about that, folks. I'll deal with that later. Because that is kind of bad news. But anyway, Falcon. Okay, so like I said, and that's why my train of thought was gone because I was hearing the phone ring. I'm like, who's calling? So Falcon. Obviously, if the Buccaneers beat the Falcons, then that would be obviously that playoff implications. But you know, I'm trying to go with the games that have implications for both teams if possible, and that game doesn't. Obviously, Tampa's out of it. Cowboys Raiders though does, and that's the 8:30 p.m. Eastern game on Sunday Night Football on NBC. You know, 7-6 Cowboys at the 6-7 Rams. Now, if the Cowboys lose, they're done. If the Raiders lose, they're done. So that's kind of like the Dolphin Bill game. Loser's done. So you know, this big game for both teams. Raiders did not play well last week. Cowboys played a lot better. You like what you saw from Dak Prescott. I know they're on the road, but I like Dallas here. I think Dallas might have turned a corner last night because the only thing that was the question with Dallas was whether their offense could get the job done without Ezekiel Elliott. And last week was the first week they found a way to do it. So, if they can, I mean, and so you like to think they figured it out and they'll do it again. And look, the Raider defense has not been as good this year, and it showed up and that showed last week. So yeah, I like the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys have some momentum come off last week. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys over the Raiders. But I got a feeling that loss broke the Raiders last against the Chiefs. I really do. So Cowboys over Raiders. So my picks for Week 15: Chiefs over Chargers, Patriots over Steelers, Seahawks over Rams, Panthers over Packers, Bills over Dolphins, Cowboys over Raiders. Those are your picks for Week 15 of the NFL season. Again, some big games that should have some major implications for the playoff hunt. So there's your NFL talk for this week. Again, no college football talk. We'll do some bowl previews and stuff as we get closer. Not necessarily do that now. So we'll leave that. So that's the end of the football discussion. Really quickly, let's jump to college basketball real quick. Again, I'm not going to do a big thing on this because we don't have the time, but I like to acknowledge a few things. Obviously, this was a big week in terms of ranked teams losing. Kansas lost 2 games this week. One to Arizona State, one to Washington, another to first of all, it's big win for Mike Hopkins' Washington team. That's kind of a you know, that's kind of a big program turning win for them. You know, for new coach, it's always big to beat number two team in the country, top 10 team. So big win for them. And then Arizona State, who people have been sweeping, and I've been too. And I got the chance to. I saw a little bit of the Arizona State Kansas, and I don't know. I don't know if I would have jumped them all the way into the top 5, Arizona State, but I do think they deserve to be top 10. They're surprisingly good. So we all might have underestimated them. So we'll see if it sticks. Obviously, what you do now, you know, doesn't. I mean, the whole season is important. You can go off now, and then you can fall into the Pac-12, and all of a sudden you lay an egg. But I'll give them credit. They've turned it on, and they look like they're going to be a surprise. So They had so Arizona State had a big week. And Kansas had a rough one. They dropped. Duke loses at BC, and what came up for Duke in that game was their lack of defense. We've been saying it all year. Duke does not play good defense, and they've been playing a lot of zone because they don't have a lot of guys. They don't have a lot of depth. And the problem with this Duke team is, and I'll tell you what the problem with their defense is. They're very big. Okay, they don't have too many guards. I mean, Grayson Allen's out there. They don't have any on the ball defenders. You know, you have to have good guards to have good on the ball defenders. And when you don't have that, you rely so heavily on your front court, and then they get into foul trouble, and it makes what little defense you do have is pretty much shot to hell. So that's the problem for Duke. They're just too big. They don't have enough guard play. And I think that if you're looking for a weakness, that's the weakness for Duke. And you saw it exploited against BC, who likes to shoot a lot of threes. And they did that to a lot of teams last year. And they did a number on teams last year. And if Duke's going to go into a zone, which they're going to do at times to keep themselves out of foul trouble, they're going to light up a defense. I worry about Syracuse when they play Boston College. I really do, because that's all they know how to get around the zone. So that was obviously a significant win. Villanova's the new #1. They had a good week. Last night we talked about the Jimmy V Classic last week. They obviously beat Gonzaga then. Gonzaga, now Washington beats Kansas and they turn around and lose to Gonzaga. So that's kind of a backwards momentum, but you know, Gonzaga's number 12 in the country, or they were. Well, they are, but you know, so I guess you can't read too much into it. Florida had a tough time with Cincinnati, but they got the job done. That was actually a pretty good basketball game. Wichita State's had a good week. They're now number 3. Let's see. Anybody else do anything significant this week? I'm trying to look, because I know Kansas was the big story of all the 2 losses. Duke was another big one. Let's see. Oklahoma beat USC. That doesn't. And TCU beat Nevada. Those are kind of smaller deals. They all count, but you know. Let's see. Washington, Kansas, North Carolina. Yeah, so those are the big ones. So if you take anything from this week, is that Kansas has kind of fallen into a rut, which they've done in the past. But I tell you, you won't want to play them come March. And then Duke's loss on Saturday with the big headlines, and so yeah. Mike, you got any thoughts on this week's week in college basketball?
That would imply I watched college basketball, or a lot of college basketball this week. Although, the fact that Duke lost to Washington, impressive. It's really impressive. To Washington. Excuse me, not Washington. Yeah, they did lose to Washington. That was to Boston College. Beating Duke is rather surprising, because not a lot of people had Boston College pegged for much of anything this year.
Right.
So now Boston College, of all teams, is 1-0 in the ACC. Of all teams, is 1-0. Kansas losing to Arizona State is surprising and disappointing. Kind of reinforces the fact that you and I had, if Syracuse had a better first half, they probably would have beaten Kansas. But no, Syracuse's offense sucked, and one guy had a career day, which is literally how Syracuse loses 90% of their games. And the other weird thing is Washington goes from beating Duke, I think, right? They beat Duke, or
Huh?
who did they beat?
Who?
Kansas, excuse me, not Duke. Washington beat Kansas convincingly, and they go and shit a brick against Gonzaga. Very, very, very strange for Washington, especially because Gonzaga is not the better team. And this is a Gonzaga team that handed to them on a silver platter by the Villanova Wildcats, the superior Wildcats team. Villanova's number 1, as they should be. This is like they're number 1 for like the second or third straight year. Number 1. So That's interesting. Villanova is for like the third straight year or something like that. Some similar stats, number one. I'm good. I'm good with that. I'm good.
I know.
Kansas 13. They got Nebraska next. So Kansas should be getting back in their winning ways sooner than later. Nova's got Temple tomorrow. And Seton Hall and Cincinnati took care of business. Cincinnati's not a team that I want to see right now because they're coming on strong. They're going to play hard, but fuck everybody playing Cincinnati. Villanova beat LaSalle tonight. Arizona State yesterday. Or Sunday. I don't even know what day it is anymore. Holy shit. What is today? Tuesday?
Yes.
Yeah. So Washington's a story to watch this year. They beat Kansas. They lose to Gonzaga. Gonzaga team, but a not very good Gonzaga team is usually ranked top 20 anyway. And spoilers, they're 12. Well, they were 12. I don't know where they are now. See, Gonzaga is 12, where they always are. Duke, I'm sorry. I keep thinking Washington beat Duke. Washington beat Kansas. The only team Duke lost to is Boston College, of all teams. Ironically. I think Michigan State's a little overrated at number 2. I do.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Michigan State's going to start getting their wins now. But, you know, come tournament time, they always say, don't. Michigan State. Yeah. It's depending on Michigan State, Brian.
Yep.
This year you're going to. I have a feeling this year you're going to be like, come March, I'm buying it to the hype. Michigan State, they're the team to beat. You do.
Oh, Jesus.
First weekend, there goes Michigan State. Waste of a 1 seed, if you ask me. Just pointing that out.
Well, they're going to have probably a 1 seed, but yeah.
That's what I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just pointing out that it would be a waste of a 1 seed. I really don't have too much. I'm just kind of mumbling and going on, but I don't have too much to say.
Well, there wasn't a lot
You
this
covered
week.
all the big ones. There was a lot because Kansas lost twice.
Right. Well, it was pretty much Kansas and Duke. That's it.
Duke got upset, and Villanova had to do was just hold strong, and they did.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as this coming week goes, you got Villanova Temple tomorrow. Then Saturday.
Game.
Yeah, Saturday, because Temple is underrated, by the way. So that's interesting.
Very much so.
Saturday, you have a bunch of big games. Well, not big games, but interesting games. I look out Michigan State, Oakland. Watch out. I mean, Oakland's a team that I think is a potential bracket buster, so keep an eye on that. Butler, Purdue.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, Butler, Purdue.
It's an interesting game.
Let's see what else is there. Oklahoma State, Florida State's not. Indiana, Notre Dame. Because Indiana's kind of they've done a number on some teams. They've been competitive. Don't believe the 5-5. They can probably stay in against Notre Dame. Cincinnati.
Before you mentioned the Cincinnati game.
Yeah.
Seton Hall versus plays Rutgers at Rutgers. Seton Hall is 15th in the nation. Notoriously difficult team to play at Rutgers.
Yes.
These two teams have a lot of bad blood.
Yes.
And Rutgers is 9-3 this year. I don't know who they've played. Knowing Rutgers is probably not great.
Right.
Seton Hall is the best team they're playing. A rivalry game, and this is a game that has gotten violent. Speaking of games that have gotten violent in the past, Syracuse and Georgetown are playing on Saturday as well.
Yes, and that should be good. And I've said this, I told you this off the air, I think that's a must-win. I really do. because
It's a must-win for both teams. Yeah.
Because at least for Syracuse, that's the one. I think that's what kept them out last year. I really do. I think that was the idea. You can't win on the road. And I know they got a neutral court win against UConn, but I think to have a road game in a tough environment in their back pocket before they get to ACC play would be a benefit. Be a huge benefit to them. Plus, if you get this, you probably, hopefully, because I think there's maybe one more. I think St. Bonaventure would be the only other roadblock. You probably get to the rest of non-conference unscathed, and that puts you over 10 wins already, and then like I said, you can find 8 or 9 wins in the ACC this year. I think, given their schedule, you can, given what what they have as far as home and aways. I think they could find 8 or 9 wins, but outside you got Cincinnati, UCLA, which is interesting. Oklahoma, Wichita State is interesting. I think it's only interesting because you get to watch Trae Young. Trae Young is a good player. It's just that Oklahoma, people aren't going to want to watch Oklahoma too much this year. No disrespect, it's just they're not. Florida, Clemson. By the way, people have been sweeping on Clemson. I didn't think Clemson was going to be that good this year, but I got the chance to see a little bit of them, and they're not bad. I mean, they're not a slouch. So, but yeah, Florida gets Clemson on Saturday. Kansas, Nebraska, that might not be anything good. So Saturday's got a lot of good games. Saturday's got a lot of good games. Sunday, North Carolina, Tennessee. Tennessee's been a surprise early here, so that could, really going to come down to whether they can defend well enough in that game. I won't say that for Carolina because they've gotten away with no defense for years now, so I don't think that would a factor in anything. And then I think that's it. Look, Mike Longwood's playing Arizona State on Tuesday next week.
Quality win for Longwood if they can manage. Gotta keep going. They got to go hard all 40 minutes.
Got to play a number 5 team in the country, yeah.
Number 5 team in the country. So Longwood has got to go in rough and tough and raw.
Yes.
They can't win half-cocked, if you catch my drift.
Oh, God. That's why I brought it up, folks. So, all right. So not this week, probably in college basketball comes down to this Saturday. That's really the only day that has a lot of things going on. So it's a quiet time now. It's the lull. And then once you get to the end of December, early January, all the conferences come into play and then things get pick up again. So had a good early season. It's always quiets down a little bit as you head towards bowl season and stuff. So it's not really a surprise, but I just wanted to talk about a few things there. So, all right, let's jump to baseball. A lot to talk about there. The winter meetings are firmly underway. Some deals today. Shaw went to the Rockies for 3 years, $27 million. Cubs agreed on a 2-year deal with lefty Drew Smiley. So you had that. There's been some talk today. Phillies are nearing a deal with right-handed pitcher Tommy Hunter. JD Martinez is going to meet with the Red Sox. Red Sox got to do something because Yankees been very busy today. Earlier today, they made a deal where they traded Chase Headley to the Padres along with Brian Mitchell. Basically, it was a salary dump because they need a little bit more flexibility to go sign pitching and stuff. So they need flexibility because they went and got Giancarlo Stanton over the weekend. Picked up his entire contract up for $30 million, which they'll get providing he doesn't opt out. All they traded was Starwin Castro, who again is a decent player, but he was going to be gone. He was going to be out of a position next year anyway. So you make that deal and you get away with not trading anybody big in terms of prospects. And they look. Let me just say this, and I think this is the obvious. Jeter screwed us up. He screwed us up from the beginning. He doesn't know what he's doing, for one. Even though it should be common sense, and this is coming from a Yankee fan. I can't believe Jeter doesn't know what the hell he's doing with this. Because common sense would tell you that if you come into this job and team president, and you got you got to get rid of payroll and you want to start fresh, what do you do? Well, all right. Well, you got your biggest contract is Giancarlo Stanton, right? So, all right, well, we're going to have to get rid of Stanton. Well, that's the first person you start with. Well, he has no trade. All right, well, we got to have a sit down with him and see what we can do. So you sit down with him and say, hey, we got to tell him what's going on. Tell him that you're thinking about trading him And he goes, all right, these are the teams I can go to. This teams I would be willing. Well, is there anybody else you'd be willing to listen to? Get his ideas. If he's not, then you go to those teams and you negotiate. And if you don't find anything, then you wait. You wait until, and I understand that they're in money trouble on that, but then you start moving other pieces and say, Giancarlo, we're moving on. We're moving other pieces around you. You know, we couldn't find a deal with the teams that, you know, you were with, that you said you would go to. So would you reconsider that now that you know we're going to be making other trades, or do you want to stay here and watch everything fall apart? Now they did do that eventually, but they did it in a threatening way. But they didn't, and see, here's the problem: they never had that meeting with Giancarlo. They just went ahead and started making plans with the Cardinals and the Giants, even though those are two teams he did not want to go to. And they made they put together the deals and said, all right, well, we have deals in place for these teams. You have to meet with them. He took the meeting with the Cardinals. He said they were fine, but that's not where he wanted to go. He only took the meeting to kind of get a sense of their organization, just to hear them out. And you heard him during the press conference. He did not mince words. He's not been happy with Marlins management for a number of years, and he does not like the way this process was handled, and he shouldn't. It was bungled from day one. It was an embarrassment. And they paid the price because they bungled it so. And then they tried to meet with Stanton late in the process after the deals with the Giants and the Cardinals didn't work out. Well, and look, they're never going to get the Dodgers because the Dodgers are in a luxury tax issue. They don't have the money. And the Astros were never going to do it. And the Cubs were not going to do it. So you only had one choice. So you boxed yourself into a corner where you had to essentially go to the Yankees and take what they gave you. And open yourself up to scrutiny because Jeter's never going to live that down. People are going to think they gave him a discount. And he was defensive. And I'll tell you, I've followed Jeter since the beginning of his career. I have never heard Derek Jeter as defensive as he was answering questions about that trade. I have never heard him that defensive before. Well, I would not change a thing. Really, Derek? Really? It's good. I already can see where this is going here. Derek is going to be one of those guys that anywhere else he goes, he's going to be, obviously he already was, he's a Yankee, but he's going to be hated everywhere else. He's going to step in New York, he's going to be a hero. It's just the bottom line. Because he's already reviled, and he's handled a lot of things, from the firings of staff to, he's handled a lot of things wrong. Whoever's advising him on these kind of matters is really doing a poor job. Really doing a poor job. So Giancarlo stands a Yankee. The Yankees still under the luxury tax. They deal heavily to further solidify that. There's talk they're going to go after 2 pitchers. They'll probably re-sign CC and then go get a starter via trade. There's even been talk today that they might jump in on Manny Machado because the Orioles don't want to. They see what the Yankees have. They see what the Red Sox have. They're like, hey, we might not have a chance here. Maybe we start to deal some of our guys. My Orioles have a lot of free agents, as the Blue Jays, a lot of free agents after this year. Get something for them. And the Yankees apparently talked to the Orioles about Machado. Now, look, the Yankees can say, we already know. Look, Manny Machado's made it clear that he wants to be a Yankee. So the Yankees can say, hey, you know what? We can just wait the year. Why gut our team? We'll wait the year, and we can get them in free agency and spend the money. They don't have to make this deal. So, and I don't know if the Orioles would deal with them anyway. There's always been a long-standing feeling that they wouldn't. And then we'll see what the Blue Jays do too, because the Blue Jays might try to move Donaldson. He's going to be a free agent. So I think what you're going to see is some of these teams, the Rays, the Orioles, and the Blue Jays, might start to deal some of their potential free agents after the season because they see what the Yankees have and they see what the Red Sox have. And then there's the Red Sox who, their fan base is this, like, do something. You need a bat. Now, granted, you couldn't do anything about Stanton because he wouldn't waive his no trade to come deal. But you got to go do something. And if they're going to go meet with J.D. Martinez, and that would be a good bat for them if they can get him. So that's something. But they're asking a lot of the guys they have. Obviously, they have Chris Sale, but Price has an elbow issue. There's a lot of things to kind of take into account with the Red Sox. And we'll see what the Yankees do. I think the Yankees are still probably trying to move Ellsbury. at this point. I don't know if they're going to have any takers. That's probably why they moved Headley first, because they knew people would take Chase. He has only 1 year off. They knew that people would take Chase. And he goes, you gotta feel. I really feel bad for Starwin Castro and Chase Headley. I really do. Because Starwin Castro's a guy that got traded from the Cubs to the Yankees right when the Cubs got good. Chase Headley got traded from the Padres to the Yankees and was there for this difficult transition. Well, not difficult, but from years that they weren't really the Yankees, even though they were winning games. And then the Yankees get really good, and now they both get dealt. So Headley goes back to the Padres, and Castro goes to the Marlins. He's probably gonna be dealt with from there too. That sucks, but that's the nature of the beast. That's what it is. So the Yankees have already won the early offseason with the Giancarlo move. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani going to the Angels, which is news that broke last week on Friday. Obviously, Ohtani early in the day, and then the Stanton stuff started breaking Friday night. I have one thing to say about the Ohtani. Obviously, this is before the winter meetings, but obviously to set the dominoes in play for most of the winter meetings, because having Ohtani get signed and Stanton get traded kind of opened things up, and that's why we're seeing some movement finally here, which is what you want. You want exciting winter meetings, and there might be some big deals. I think tomorrow is going to be interesting. I think there's going to be some trades tomorrow. I really do. I think you're hearing a lot about a lot of teams talking to each other, so I think some things are going to get done tomorrow. Usually Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon is when it's the most. So I expect some things to go down. Shohei Ohtani, though, let me just say this. First of all, good on the Angels. It's a good signing, although it does present an issue for them from the standpoint of you have to now put Pujols at first base, because apparently their plan is to have Ohtani DH, which is what the smart thing to do is. Because if you were going, I think that's why I always felt like he was going to go to an AL team, because I think you get the most out of Ohtani by having him be a DH, because you lessen the chance that he's going to get hurt. If you want him to pitch and hit, he needs to DH. It just makes the most sense. It just makes the most sense, because you can be careful with him. You can rest him. You can, it's just a better alternative than having him play in the outfield and risk him. So that's why I always felt like in the back of my mind, even that he was going to go to the AL, and I thought it would be Seattle once he spurned the entire East Coast. But he goes to Anaheim, which, apparently he was interested in a small market. And Anaheim, believe it or not, is a small market. It's California, it's Southern California, so on paper it seems like a big one. But Anaheim's not the Dodgers, okay? The Angels are not the Dodgers. They're in a more quieter area. It's something, and I could see him wanting to play for Mike Scioscia. And look, the Angels are on the upswing. They got Simmons. Pujols can still get to some things done. Now they got a time. They're on the upswing. They get a few pitchers, and they'd be in the mix. They were in the mix last year in the playoffs. So, but the thing that boggles my mind about Ohtani, and I think I talked about this a little bit last week, the thing that boggles my mind about Ohtani, I don't understand why he made all the East Coast teams and all the Southeast teams, do these questionnaires and make these presentations and prepare all these things if he wasn't going to consider them. Maybe that was the agents. I don't know. But to me, it was very strange to make all those teams go through and then eliminate them all within like 2 days. I don't understand it. I think it's kind of a tease. I think I'm not just saying because I'm a Yankee fan. I don't care. Look, obviously, I'm from a Yankee fan standpoint, I'm very happy I got Giancarlo Stanton. Would I like Ohtani? Yeah, but it is what it is. You don't get all of them. You can't have all of them. I just don't know. I just don't understand what the mindset was here, unless his agents were the ones that were trying to encourage him to go to keep as many teams in as long as possible. I mean, I don't know. And look, the league's going to investigate the whole Ohtani thing, because it's such a weird thing. They're going to investigate what makes sure nobody promised him money under the table, because he's making such a small amount of money. So, we'll see if anything opens up because of that, because they're already threatened that the punishment could be worse than anything the Braves got, which is, But, so you had Ohtani and Stanton, and now you got some movement with pitchers, a lot of bullpen guys coming off the board, which you're not surprised, because that's what the game is, bullpen now. So, it's not surprising to see the relievers going first here. And I suspect that you'll start to see the starters. I always felt like you wouldn't see any major starters as far as free agency goes signed at the winter meetings. I feel like that would be after. I felt like there'd be a lot more starting pitching moving from trade before we see free agents signed. And look, the bottom line is your premier starting pitcher on the market right now is Yu Darvish, and Yu Darvish had a terrible postseason. So I think you're going to see people look elsewhere first, and then they might go to you and say, "Hey, we'll go come get you." In my opinion, it wouldn't surprise me to see Darvish go back to the Rangers because I don't think he's ever been. I don't think he was comfortable moving from Texas, but we'll see. So like I said, right now I suspect that tomorrow will bring some major movement. I think we'll see some big trades tomorrow, some movement tomorrow, maybe a few signings. I mean, I think tomorrow will be a pretty active day. Right now, it's just been, reaction to what happened last Friday with Ohtani and Stanton. But it led to some interesting stuff. So not much really outside of what's happened before the winter meetings, but some stuff, is starting to happen now. Like I said, a lot of deals for relievers and stuff like that. So things starting to look like they're starting to pick up a little bit. And I would anticipate tomorrow will be a fairly active day in Orlando. So yeah. So that's where we're at in baseball with the winter meetings and the hot stove. Interesting stuff. Some interesting stuff. And I'll leave it at that. We'll talk, obviously anything else that happens the rest of the week, we'll talk about it next week. And, I imagine there will be some stuff to talk about next week. So,
hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
Okay. I'm listening.
Why did you throw it to me on the baseball?
Because you hate baseball. And I never throw to you on baseball because I just assume.
Brian, why did you throw it to me at baseball? I had amazing analysis to give. How dare you?
Well, okay. Okay, I apologize. I shouldn't make assumptions. So let's hear this amazing analysis.
I should have made assumptions. I was just going to say, hey, Brian.
What? Broke up there for a second.
Rusev Day.
Oh, Rusev Day. Oh, well, happy Rusev Day to you too.
Thank you. Because if you didn't say happy Rusev Day back, it probably would have. I know where you live, and you probably would have earned a Machka kick.
Oh, I don't want that. That's painful.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day, Mike.
And do you know who else had happy Rusev Day? The New York Yankees.
Oh, yeah, they did, indeed.
Yes. And Derek Jeter was abnormally defensive. He very was. He was not having a very good Rusev Day, but Derek Jeter's had a rough go of it since he became president, I guess. He's had a really rough go. You fire a guy who's battling cancer while in the hospital. Sorry. That wasn't him. It just came from his office. Yeah, Derek Jeter. The best first move, and then you trade the only bright spot on your team. Giancarlo Stanton in the NL. In a murderer's row with Judge and Sanchez. And if you put Didi up there too, pitch to Didi, but even then, Didi Gregorius is really good.
Yeah. He had 25 home runs last year.
He had 25 home runs. He had a butt ton of RBIs, and the kid comes up clutch. I ask you, if you are anybody in the AL, who do you pitch to in that lineup? Gregorius, Judge, Giancarlo Stanton,
Bird
lineup.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who do you pitch to? Obviously, the answer is, of course, that asshole Frazier.
He's not on the team anymore.
That ground ball.
He's not on the team anymore, Mike.
That asshole Frazier couldn't catch a damn ground ball.
Somebody's still bitter about the game he went and saw.
A little bit. Not entirely bitter, but I'm just saying, if Todd Frazier had just caught that ball, would have been better off.
No kidding.
Anyway.
Look, I like Todd Frazier as a person, but he made, for all the credit he gets for defense, he had some pretty bad errors in his time with us. So, I I always preferred Chase Headley there more, to be honest. But
Pardon me.
But he won't. Hey, I don't know who's going to play third base. Maybe it'll be Manny Machado. Maybe they'll make that deal tomorrow. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
You never know. Cashman's kind of a ninja when it comes to that stuff. So
The thing with Machado is even if he goes, he's a 1-year rental because I've told you this last night. I've seen the analysis. Machado might be the first $400-500 million player.
Well, they think Harper's going to be that, but they think Machado's going to be too. They think they're both going to be in that range.
Machado's the first one, but they think Machado's going to be the guy who sets the initial records, which would be unthinkable in today's game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd pay Manny Machado $400 million to play fucking baseball. Well, I certainly wouldn't.
They said that he wants to be a Yankee so much that he considered giving them a discount. I don't know how much a
discount from $400 million.
It's like, you know what it is? You know what it's like? It's like a discount when you go to Macy's. The price tag is like a $400 item. We'll give you a discount. You're paying $325.
Oh, can't miss that deal.
It's gonna be like, well, he wants $400 million, but we'll give it to you for $350.
Yeah, no, that's Alex Rodriguez money almost now. So
right. I mean that's that's about what you're looking at for a discount.
Up until this current generation, I think was worth that money is probably Mariano Rivera. And the only reason why I say Mariano Rivera is because the man earned that money.
And he never got it.
I'm not saying
he never got it.
I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying as a baseball person with knowledge, if I'm like, hey, current prices to players who in the previous era, I definitely would have paid Mariano $400 million because the dude was the greatest closer of all time, and he didn't suck and even past the end. Now, I'm not saying Machado hasn't earned it. I'm just saying inflation in baseball is fucked up, man. If owners and league presidents are going to pay that amount, fuck not, man. Why the fuck not?
Yeah. I think that, it's sad that nobody will stand up and be like, well, I'm not paying that kind of money. Because then it would put an end to it. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
If 2 or 3 teams, let's be honest here, and I can't believe we're having this much of a baseball discussion, but why not? I brought this upon myself. 2 or 3 teams, and we know who those 2 or 3 teams are. Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, and let's even throw the Cardinals in there, even though the Cardinals don't spend that much. Or the Cubs. Let's say the Cubs, too.
Okay.
Those major market teams say, enough, we're not going to pay fucking $400-500 million for a player. Amount of years. That's way too much. Let's get it back to where it used to be in the good old days of $300 million contracts. Still also too much, but I digress.
Right.
If they get it back to the major market teams are like, we're not going to pay that amount of money. I think these contracts will go back to, say, Earth, but at least come back to Mars,
Right. Well, I think that you've seen
or around Neptune, but let's get back to Mars, please.
I think you've seen it a little bit with because where they've really gotten out of whack the last couple years is pitching. Like relievers are getting way too much money, and you're seeing some starters get way too much money because you know what happened? A lot of teams re-upped their starting pitching before it got to free agency.
Yep.
Like remember Felix Hernandez signed that contract with Seattle before he hit free agency. And when you do that, you prevent the contract. That's why people have been telling teams in baseball for the last 10 years, you want to prevent these contracts from getting all crazy, renew your players before they hit free agency. Because then they don't get the agents in their ears saying, well, you can get this and this if you go into a bidding war. If you prevent them from going into a bidding war, if you just tell them, if you knock their socks off and give them a big like contract right out of the gate when they're young, they're going to take that deal, and then, you know, they're not going to go out in the open market. That's why there's a lot of people going to the Yankees right now saying, once you get out of this season, once you get to 2019 and the tax resets, go to Aaron Judge, go to Gary Sanchez, go to your young players that you have and re-up them now. Because I know the Yankees don't like to do it. Go do that. Because you can go right now. Yeah, sign them for like $100 million right now instead of paying $300-400 million when they go on the free agent market.
Exactly. And you know, guys like Judge and Sanchez are going to command that price.
Exactly. And they're going to take it because they've never seen that kind of money.
So right now, even now, if you say, all right, Aaron Judge, we want to renegotiate, we're going to up your pay to $250 million.
Right.
Sanchez, we're going to renegotiate we want to give you $250 million.
Right.
Now, that's fine.
Get it done. Yeah.
Get it done.
And then you don't have to worry
these guys up because you know Judge and Sanchez franchise.
And here's the thing. They're both in their mid-20s. You don't worry about giving a guy in their mid-20s a 10-year contract. You don't. You don't worry about it. Because they're going to be 30. You like the chance of them staying healthy, and then you get their prime years, and then when the contract's up, they're 35 years old. And then you get them, and then you're like, well, if you don't resign, you don't resign because they'll be on the back end of the contract anyway, the back end of their prime anyway. You don't worry about it then. That's why it behooves you to do that. It's smart.
You know what? If you want to put bonuses and stuff in that contract, in those contracts, to maybe get it up to $400 million, $450 million, sure, that makes some sense, I guess.
It does, yeah.
Because, like, all right, you win the World Series. All right, well, here's an extra $50 million. Your World Series MVP, here's an extra $100 million. Your AL MVP, $100 million. You know what? Whatever. However you negotiate it, you negotiate.
I know that teams don't like to do it, especially the Yankees, but I think teams have got to. I think if you do that, you're going to start to see the contract rates go down because not many people are going to be hitting free agency, and it's the natural way to do it. Instead of just going out there and taking a stand and being like, because somebody's always going to give these guys the money if they go out there. They're always going to get the money because somebody's going to say, even a bad team out there is going to be like, well, at least I can put butts in the seats. Somebody's going to give these guys the money. You know that's going to happen. So prevent them from hitting the market, and that's when you reset the market rate and it drops back down. Because it's happened a couple times already where, you know, teams locked up guys, because the free agent classes the last few years have been very, very thin. Next year is going to be a special case. That's the first year in a long time that it's going to be pretty full. But the last few years, the free agent classes have not been very good. And that's because a lot of guys got re-upped before they hit the market, and teams got a better rate because of it.
And let's be honest here. At this point, I don't know if Washington can afford Bryce Harper.
They can't. They can't. He's not going to stay.
No, he's not going to stay there.
Not going to stay. No.
That's just how it works.
For one thing, I don't know if they want him because he is a little bit of abrasive at times. He can be difficult at times. I don't know if they want him to stay at this point. That's the first thing. I mean, again, it's just rumblings. I don't know everything for sure. But the other thing, too, is that, like you said, he's going to command an obscene amount of money. If they sign him, they're going to be in a Stanton-type situation in Washington, where eventually that's going to come back to bite them. They're not the Yankees. They're not the Dodgers. The Dodgers could take that and do it, and they could still be fine. They don't care how much they pay in taxes. The Yankees don't care about paying taxes until they only care about this year because they want to reset the tax. Once it resets, they're not going to worry so much about it again. But like, oh, all right, we can keep doing this. But the Yankees aren't. After this year, the Yankees aren't going to care anymore about that. They want to go get Harper. They'll go get Harper. They're not going to care. But you know. The team that could use Harper is the Red Sox, but he ain't gonna. From what I understand, is he don't want to go there. It's pretty much said that it's gonna be the Yankees, the Dodgers, or the Cubs for Harper.
But it's worth pointing.
Yeah,
the Red Sox are one of those teams who are willing to put out a butt ton of money for a player. They are 100%.
Well, I'm gonna say this. the next few weeks might be very big for the Red Sox because I can see them being desperate enough to go overpriced on some. Now, JD Martinez is a good hitter. Okay, he's a very good hitter. He was great for Detroit, and he could be a great designated hitter type guy that can do a lot of things. All right, but he's not. He's not. He's only one guy, and the Red Sox I think need 2 bats. Okay, because the guys that they have in that lineup right now lack a lot of power. They do need more power. They got a lot of average gap kind of hitters. They need power. JD will bring power, but he's not a Stanton. He's not a Judge. He's not that kind of guy. He's going to give you maybe 25, 30 home runs, and that's about it. Okay, that's only one guy. If they overpay for JD and then they say, all right, let's go sign Eric Hosmer or Mike Moustakas, the 2 Royal free agents. Okay. Let's say they sign one of them. All right, and those guys are very inconsistent. Then, and let's say they go crazy because they're desperate to get offense right now. They overprice them, and they spend way more than they need to. If they spend more on those 2 free agents, they're not going to be able to do what they want to do for next year because a lot of their guys on that team are already locked into big contracts because they locked up a lot of their young guys. So they're going to be in a bind. They won't be able to go give Harper that money. They won't be able to give him a shot. No matter how much money they apparently have, it just won't make practical sense because they won't be able to go get pitching. So they're going to be in a bind if they do that. So that's why I think they got to be very careful here and not to go crazy because the Yankees are doing what they're doing. You have to have some kind of logic in there so that you're like, all right, well, we have to put the best team out there this year, but I also want to be able to go do this next year too. Because after next year, you ain't going to have a free agent class like that for a while. So it's important that you play that game with that in mind. So the Red Sox, I mean, I like Dave Dombrowski, but he's not known to be the best when it comes to managing finances and making moves. He thinks he's very reactionary. And that would worry me if I'm a Red Sox fan because you know what? Yeah, it'd be nice to have a good hitter. But or 2, but boy, if it takes you out of the running for 2 guys next year who are really game-changing superstars in Machado and Harper, you're going to regret that. You really will. And I mean, again, I don't think they have a chance again, but you want to present your best case to get them. And you're putting yourself in a situation where you can't present that best chance to get them. So we'll see. That took a lot longer than I thought. Wowee. Anyway, all right. So really quickly, let me try to pick up the pace here and get us going here, because we got entertainment, we got wrestling to go.
We have a lot to talk about in the next hour or so.
Well, I'm going to
not even an hour.
I'm going to circumnavigate this for us here. Okay, let's jump to entertainment here, and let's do this quick because there's not a lot to say about this weekend other than the fact, as far as box office goes, as we go to the box office beat. Nothing out of the ordinary this week. Coco, we thought would three-peat. It did. I would only say that it was they did a lot better than expected. It's nice that it was around that $20 million mark, 18.4, only a 33% drop off. The fact this movie's done so well with kids back in school is actually a good thing. Justice League's drop wasn't as bad, only 42%, 9.6 million. Stayed put in second. Wonder also stayed put in its position in third, 8.4 million, only a 30% drop. So the top 3, all kidding aside with Justice League, it held up better this week than it did last week. So give it some credit there. Before I get to Disaster Artist, Thor dropped from 4th to 5th, 6.2 million, and its 6th week, only a 36% drop off. Very, very good. We've been tracking Thor because I've been interested to see if he'll hit $1 billion. It's at 834.2 right now. It's going to be close. I don't think it will, but it's the fact it got this close is pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Daddy's Home 2 dropped from 5th to 6th, 5.9 million. Murder on the Orient Express from 6th to 7th with 5.1 million. So you end up with 7 movies over 5 million, which is better than I thought it would be. Some of the movies that had some Oscar buzz: Lady Bird, 3.4 million in 9th, dropping from 8th. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri came in with 2.8 million in 11th place. The Shape of Water, which is getting a lot of talk, moved up from 20th to 13th with $1.1 million. Everything else under $1 million. last week's biggest release was just getting started, and a new release was just getting started. Opened in 2,161 theaters, only made $3.2 million. Starring Morgan Freeman, Tommy Lee Jones, Renee Russo, and Jane Seymour. Again, played more to older audiences. Only a $22 million budget. I expected to try. I thought maybe make about 6, 7. So I wasn't expecting much, but it did even under that. So, all right. So Disaster Artist was the story on top of Coco three-peating. Disaster Artist moved up from 12th to 4th as it expanded into by 821 theaters. Made $6.3 million, which is a very, very good number for 840 theaters. It's a very good number. And it came in 4th. So it's already made $10.2 million worldwide. A lot of buzz around it. So it did very well. It did very, very well. Again, this was kind of like the high end of what I thought it would do. And it good for them. Now, look, everybody else takes a back seat this weekend. I don't know. I would assume Disaster Artist will expand a little bit more. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Who knows with the theater counts because of what's going to be going on this weekend. Now, the interesting thing is, okay, all right, all these movies that have been hanging tough are going to fall completely, especially like movies like Thor, because you got, the big behemoth that is Star Wars is going to take the majority of the theaters. The interesting thing about this, though, is unlike a couple years ago with Force Awakens and last year at Rogue One, there is another movie coming out that's opening big in a lot of theaters. And it's an animated movie by the name of Ferdinand. It's opening in 3,600 theaters. It's the Golden Globe nominated Ferdinand, with John Cena voicing the title character. Now, here's the thing, okay? While Star Wars does play to families, all right, it's just getting over with the new generation over the last couple years, okay? So, I think Fox feels pretty good about putting Ferdinand up here because they think that they can get a lot of the little kids. They think they can get a lot of kids under 10, even though Star Wars is out to go see this movie. And it'll probably pick up steam around Christmas as well. So I would expect Ferdinand to do okay. It won't do great. I can't see it doing more than 10, 12 million. But it'll hold tough the next couple of weeks, and it'll probably be okay. Obviously, the biggest release is Star Wars The Last Jedi from Disney, opening in 4,175 theaters. Directed and written by Rian Johnson this time around. Starring Mark Hamill, the late Carrie Fisher. This is her last performance, obviously. Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, and a host of others. Now, as the reviews are out there, it's getting overwhelmingly good reviews, although there are some people that say you'll love it or you'll hate it because it did take some chances. Been obviously very well promoted. I think the question on everybody's mind, look, this movie's going to do well. It's going to make over $100 million. The question is how much. And, obviously weather, when you get to this time of year, weather is an issue. If there's any big snowstorms, that could hold back numbers. I don't think there's any anticipated for this weekend, so that could help. So that clears the way there. The question on everybody's mind is, will it do what Force Awakens did at least? I don't think it'll do more than that because I think that was special, like the first Avengers, where it was the first time, all right, for a lot of people. Now, Force Awakens is the first time in a long time. I don't think it will do that. I do think it'll break 150 million. I could see it doing what Avengers 2 Age of Ultron did. I could see it doing around 180, 190 kind of. That's kind of where I'm thinking. I think I'm going to go like 185. I think that makes the most sense. Could it get to 200 million? Could it break that? Yeah, I think it's going to be very key, especially since people are saying it could be derisive because it took a lot of bold choices. I think how it does Thursday night and Friday is very key because if the word of mouth is good with the general movie fan, and then it gets a good Saturday and a good Sunday, it could break 200 million. If it's one of those things where some people are like, some people are not as happy about it. Maybe they don't like what they heard or whatever. Then I think it falls into the whole 170, 180-ish kind of thing, which is still fantastic. So, we'll see. they're calling it the Empire Strikes Back of this group, and we'll see. No doubt it's gonna be number one though. So easy predictions this week. So again, Star Wars Last Jedi will be number one. I'm gonna go with 185. Could be higher, could be a little lower, but generally in that area. Ferdinand in second. I'll go high. I'll go like 11, 12 million for Ferdinand. Coco's going to lose theaters because of it, and obviously Thor and all the movies will lose theaters because of what's coming out this weekend. So I think Coco will be in third. I'll go with around 8 million. I don't think Ferdinand will hurt it that much. Justice League around 6.5 million. And these movies are going to be losing theaters. Wonder around 5 million, and let's see. I said Wonder, right? Yeah, I did. Okay. I don't know about Disaster Artist. If it expands theaters, it could probably jump into like around 8-9 million and jump over and be right there with Coco in terms of third place. If it doesn't, I could see it being right around that $5 million mark as well. And I think Thor will be there too. And I think Daddy's Home and Murder on the Orient Express will drop below 5 million. So I think you could see Thor, Disaster Artist, Wonder, and Justice League all in that $5 to $6.5 million range, and they all could be kind of fighting for placement there. So, but you know what? We know the top two will be Star Wars and Ferdinand. Star Wars again. We'll see if it gets to 200 million. That'll be the story of the weekend. We'll see if it can do it. Right now, though, I think it'll be close. I'll say 185, like I said. So should be an interesting box office weekend, potentially record-breaking. It could be, if all things play right. Mike, do you have any thoughts on the box office?
Did you send it over to me?
Yeah, I want to know if you had anything to say about the box office.
Watching something else. So, no?
Okay.
Hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. All right, so next week we have 3 new releases. Obviously, Star Wars will be very much in play along with Ferdinand. You have Downsizing, the comedy drama starring Matt Damon, Father Figures, a comedy from Warner Brothers, and Pitch Perfect 3, a comedy from Universal, and what's said to be the last of that particular franchise. And then the week after that, you got Greatest Showman and Jumanji opening on Wednesday, December 20th, with no movies opening on Friday, December 22nd. Those 2 movies trying to get a jump on Christmas. So lots of stuff coming, lots of competition. We'll see. Star Wars will be very much in play. We'll see how it all unfolds. It should be interesting, to say the least. We'll see if we have a record breaker this weekend with The Last Jedi. All right, so TV highlights now. Again, we're not doing film picks, don't have the time, so we'll return those next week. TV picks, I'm going to be very quick here. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I enjoyed very, very much. I really liked where they went with this. I was very interested in the Simmons stuff, more so than I thought I was going to be. I was real worried about where they might go with it the previous week. I like what they did with the Young and Human, and that stuff. The stuff in the fight pit was really, really good, actually. So I enjoyed that, and I like that they kind of let the characters kind of acknowledge some of the things that they've been through that maybe they haven't acknowledged yet, like Coulson and May talking about the framework. Thought that was a really good couple moments there they gave them. So I like that. Gotham, I thought, I don't know if I talked about it last week, was phenomenal. One of my favorite episodes they've ever done. Really well done. Good cliffhanger. Really good storytelling. I can't believe I gotta give them so much credit for the first 11 episodes this year. It's so much better. There's direction. The episodes are good. Good for them. They finally look like they got it right. I hope it keeps up through the rest of the season. I thought South Park had a good finale, probably their funniest episode. The stuff for PC Principal and Strong Woman was really, really good. And I liked the way they tied everything together and left things. And there's a big payoff for Cartman and Heidi that was actually very layered and very good. So I'll give them credit for that. We're going to talk a lot about this next week. I didn't want to go into it in detail this week because, some people might not have gotten to the episode yet. I will bring up Walking Dead because from a technical aspect, it was a really, really good episode. if you distance yourself from a lot of things, you can look at this episode and go, this was really good. There was good tension. It was well filmed and well acted and things like that. But if you take into account the big picture and you take into account the direction of the show, it changes your opinion of it. But I'll just say I thought the episode was really good, and I definitely check it out. I'll also give The Gifted. I haven't been talking much about The Gifted. It's been a really good show, and it's gotten better as it went. The mid-season finale was really good. The reveal with Esme was really good. So I really look forward to where they're going with that show. What else? I don't know if that's it or not. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I have a bunch of stuff on the DVR. I got Psych the movie on the DVR. I got a lot of stuff on the DVR I have to get to. But I think that's it as far as things I'd recommend. So Mike, TV highlights.
I'm going to try to run through this really quickly. I am almost caught up on Legends of Tomorrow and Bull. Legends of Tomorrow added Citizen Cold, Wentworth Miller. That was one of the highlights of Earth X, was Wentworth Miller coming back as essentially an alternate version of Captain Cold. And you can kind of tell, playing the same character only differently. The dynamics are very different, and yet the show feels more complete. Unfortunately, where I am was the last episode of Firestorm. Jax is not on the team for now. Apparently, his arc has come to an end. He might come back at a later time. I hope so. I think the team is going to miss having someone like Firestorm about, although we got Constantine coming at least for an episode or two. So looking forward to that. So Legends of Tomorrow I highly recommend. It was always good. Bull, I think I'm at the Thanksgiving episode. It was a solid episode, kind of dealing with an African-American boxer. Was supposed to throw a fight, didn't. He won the championship, and then the people who we were supposed to fix the fight for, by taking that fall, framed him for murder. Wink, wink, wink. It didn't a different way than I would have thought a Bull episode would have ended up. So it was nice to kind of see Bull another kind of ending that was very, very intriguing. It was it circumvented the law, so to speak. So I'm interested in seeing where Bull, how Bull handled that. It was an interesting episode. It was a very interesting episode. The only other thing I'm going to recommend, because it was really the only thing that was worth the only thing new that I saw last week, not worth, but something new that I saw last week, was Psych the movie. I saw Psych the movie, and it was like we picked up from where we left off. Yes, they mentioned it was 5 years later. They're in San Francisco. You kind of see where everybody is now, where Henry kind of became a new age kind of guy almost. Has a new love interest in this movie. Sean and Juliet are still working out their issues. Exeter only made a one-scene appearance because Timothy Ormondson apparently had a stroke before filming. So he was only able to get one scene in, and this was post-stroke, and you can kind of tell he had it. Big ups, big to the everybody who's listening. Timothy Ormondson is still with us. He's making a recovery. God bless him. Emerson says so many good things. It's crazy. Also, Gallivant also has a DVD. Did you know that the first 2 seasons of Gallivant are available on DVD? Isn't that fantastic? I digress. Timothy Ormondson was in one scene. He stole I'm surprised I don't own him too. So Timothy Ormondson made a really, really touching kind of scene. You had more stuff with Captain, the captain, the old captain. Forgetting her name, but Vic, Captain Vic, and her daughter, central to the plot. But all I'm going to say was it was a perfect psych episode. It was a welcome return to this universe. Everything was acted so perfectly. They gave you everything you could have wanted. They gave you the suck it. They gave you the 15-point turn. They gave you the predictions. They gave you the twist ending. They even gave you Blair, who was supposed to be in this episode. She was fantastic. She didn't have a huge role, but she made the most of her role. Black Gentleman Ninja. There was a swerve on the villain. It was Zachary Levy or Levi played his role really well, but he wasn't really in it for the whole time. I guess that's a bit of a spoiler. Also, post-credit scene, Brian, featuring a guy who's set to be in several movies next year, and his name is, of course, Tina, who was previously in the Psych universe as Maggie Lawson's character, Juliet O'Hara's brother. Very, very exciting scene. I don't know if that's where we're going to go. Because apparently Steve Franks, creator of Psych, Comic-Con this year said, hey, after the current one, we're hoping on doing another 5 Psych. 5, Brian. Imagine that, 5 Psych movies. And you know what? Judging by the ratings and the reaction, I think USA is going to jump on that like a fat kid eating cake. They went through the withdrawals and they had something entertaining finally on their fucking network that isn't WWE. So yes, confident in saying we're going to get another 5 Psych movies after this one, because this one knocked it out of the fucking park. Recommend the Psych movie. Highly recommend it. If you love the show then, you'll love it now. It's forward for the series. Yes, Psych movie. So good.
All right. So that's it for the TV highlights. Now we jump to wrestling as we move to finish here. Before we get to Clash of the Champions, Raw and SmackDown, wasn't a lot on Raw last night. You know, further development of Absolution with the women's division, all ganging up on them. Cruiserweights, they kind of had to retool things after the Rick Swann thing, which obviously, he's probably going to be fired at some point. I think that's no surprise. You know, we had the Shield facing the Bar and Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe faced Dean Ambrose. We had Roman Reigns and Cesaro put on a classic. Rollins and Sheamus. And we heard over the last week that Sheamus has got spinal stenosis, so who knows what's going to happen there. And then the main event, which they gave us a swerve. We all knew the main event was going to be Braun Strowman versus Kane. They gave us a swerve where they said that the winner was going to face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. The match ended in no contest. All the talk today is that it's going to end up being a triple threat. I would suspect that will be the case. So we'll see how that plays into what we're doing with WrestleMania, because I think it does play into it. At least that'd be my opinion. So not much on Raw last night in the main event, a few other things, and the great Cesaro Reigns match. Tonight, SmackDown was okay. I mean, pretty interesting. It's setting the stage for Sunday's Clash of the Champions pay-per-view event. Most interesting thing, though, was what happened with Owens and Orton and Zayn and Nakamura and Shane and Daniel Bryan. I'm just going to spoiler alert this. I don't know, for those of you that didn't see it, but Daniel Bryan's going to be the second guest referee in the match, and Kevin Owens beat Nakamura tonight. So, with help, but he did. And so,
to be fair, this is kind of pretty big, because up until this point, even before WWE, Kevin Owens and then Kevin Steen has never beaten Shinsuke Nakamura.
Mm-hmm.
Never beaten Shinsuke Nakamura, and today he finally beats him with the pop-up powerbomb.
Yeah. So it sets up something interesting now because everybody's been thinking, how is Daniel Bryan? There's definitely doing something with Daniel Bryan. I think we can get that. We can assume that now, and that sets us up for well, we're going to preview really quickly here, and that's Clash of Champions. But before I do that, Mike, any thoughts on Raw and SmackDown?
Really, really quickly. I'm going to say Raw was rather entertaining. I didn't get a chance to see all of it. Makes you wonder where they're going to go with the Jason Jordan stuff. He cost Dean Ambrose a match against Samoa Joe inadvertently. Seth Rollins and Sheamus had a really, really good match. This is coming off of Sheamus's diagnosis, so everything Sheamus does now is like a little nervous now,
Yeah.
But him and Seth Rollins had a really good match. Seth Rollins wins, of course, with the knee that beat Kurt Hawkins twice. Because WWE can't figure out a name for that frickin' thing, so I'm calling it the knee that beat Kurt Hawkins twice. Is it the Ripcord knee? Is it the Kingslayer? Is it King's Landing? Who knows? They just say, it's the knee! So I'm going to say, it's the knee that beat Kurt Hawkins twice, because it did. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Cesaro had a really fucking great matchup. A really great matchup. Roman Reigns was never going to lose, but they made you believe at times that, hey, maybe they could have Cesaro win. Cesaro's a player, man. Cesaro's a player. WWE really hasn't jumped on that bandwagon. It's a little bit embarrassing, but I think Cesaro's stock in the management's eyes and brains has really kind of risen because Sheamus for the better part of a year, and that actually isn't it? It's over a year now, and the Bar is probably one of the top 2 tag teams in WWE. Top 2, top 3 tag teams in WWE, and it's easily a top 5 tag team in the world right now. So Sheamus and Cesaro doing great work, and this match between the Cesaro and Roman Reigns is probably one of the best Raw matches we've had all year, easily. It's easily Roman Reigns' best match in a really long time, too, by the way. Let me throw that one out there. All right. Braun Strowman versus Kane. You're never going to get a finish in that one. I'm hearing Triple Threat 2. I heard it. You heard it. We're all hearing Triple Threat. Brock might not walk out of the Rumble with the title. And the Absolution stuff, Absolution Asuka, Alicia Fox, and then Paige is like, oh, Asuka, we were giving you warnings. And so Absolution comes in, and they all promptly get their asses kicked by Asuka. It's worth knowing that they all got their asses kicked by Asuka. Asuka made a rookie mistake, if you will, of trying to break Paige's arm. Overwhelmed. But even then, it looked like she was about ready to counter Paige's DDT is. It's not the Paige Turner. SRD. Excuse me. What she calls her her special DDT there, but it looks like Asuka was about ready to kind of counter it. The Raw women come out and send Absolution right into the back, so it's like Absolution go fully over on Asuka. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I think they're going to shift to Paige versus Bliss sooner than later, though. As for SmackDown, apparently there are 2 things worth noting on SmackDown. All of the Owen, Zayn, Daniel Bryan stuff. Fantastic, by the way. fan-fucking-tastic. And you can tell that's going to be the main event of Clash of Champions. Clash of Champions is once again going to be main evented by a match without a title on the line. Ironically speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Daniel Bryan stuff's really, really interesting. Happen. I mean, you kind of know what's going to happen, but Daniel Bryan's a bit of a wild card in that. There's going to be 2 referees, and nobody's going to know how that fucking works, by the way. But, things to make you go, And Kevin Owens beat Shinsuke Nakamura for the first time. So good for KO. Finally gets one on Nakamura. He's now 1 and there's a lot of X.
Wow.
And number 2, the only other thing on SmackDown that everybody's talking about is the fact that the Bludgeon Brothers had another squash match, right? They had another squash match. The jobber by Rowan to put him up for the assisted power bomb. As he's put up on Harper's shoulders, being ready to be powerbombed, the jobber lets out this dying scream on the way down to the sit-out powerbomb. It was there were 2 things people were talking about at SmackDown, and that was it. The jobber's terrified scream by the Bludgeon Brothers, everything Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn did on the show. I'm sure there was more.
Sets the stage for, again, Clash of Champions on Sunday. We're going to move through this quick. We have 2 pre-show matches. The first one is Zack Ryder versus Mojo Rawley. This is the match that they've been wanting to do for quite a while, but Ryder was injured. The Hype Brothers are facing each other, and I'm going to be quick about this. It won't go long, and I suspect it'll be a match that Mojo will win. Because I think right now Mojo is the guy that they would maybe do more with right now than Zack Ryder. Mike?
Mojo Rawley over Zack Ryder. Vince doesn't like Ryder all that much.
Yeah, and plus he's the guy that's got more future prospects, I'd imagine. Next, another pre-show match is Breezango versus the Bludgeon Brothers. Mike, your thoughts on that one?
I'm gonna win. Even though I like Breezango, and Breezango is very interesting, doing something with the Bludgeon Brothers, so I think they're going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much the gimmick's getting over, but I think they're trying to push the Bludgeon Brothers for something here, and Breezango is just kind of there for entertainment value at this point. So yeah, I think you're right. Bludgeon Brothers win this match. All right, next up we have the United States Champion Baron Corbin versus Bobby Roode and versus Dolph Ziggler. So triple threat match for the United States Championship. First of all, we know why Ziggler's here. I mean, they even made a funny joke about it when they did the promo when they announced this after they announced this match. Ziggler's like, I don't even know why I'm in this match. Well, we all know why he's in this match. He's going to take the pin. That's why he's in this match. And I think it'll be a fun match. There'll be lots of cool spots, you know, and Corbin tends to do better in these kind of matches anyway. I'm not sure Roman Reigns does better in the multiple guy matches anyway. I think Baron Corbin's going to retain here. I think Baron Corbin pins Ziggler and retains the United States Championship. And I think they'll give this match some time. So, yeah, but I think Baron Corbin wins the match and pins Dolph Ziggler to do it. Mike?
Well, I agree that Dolph Ziggler is getting pinned. Dolph Ziggler is getting pinned. Depends on what they do with Bobby Roode. They might want to have Bobby Roode kind of get a title to just say he's doing something.
Right. I could. Yeah. Okay.
Corbin would be the easy choice because, well, it's like, what else are we doing with Baron Corbin? But they like having guys like Bobby Roode have titles when they should be destined for more right at the moment.
Right.
Roode can only stay in the mid card for so long. The title kind of validates him a little bit. So I'm going to say 100% confident on this. But I'm going to say Bobby Roode's going to win the United States Championship. He's going to pin Dolph Ziggler just so Baron Corbin doesn't have to eat another pin.
And look, Roode did have the feud with Ziggler, so I guess it would make some level of sense. Yeah, all right, okay. Next up, we have SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos versus the New Day versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable versus Rusev and Aiden English, a fatal four-way match for the Tag Team Championship. Mike, go ahead.
The only reason why I think this is a fatal four-way is because I don't think the Usos are going to retain. And I also don't think the New Day are going to win either. So I think or Rusev or Aiden English is going to win. Could be wrong here and thinking that Rusev and English would be able to win Rusev Day and B, every day's Rusev Day, and C, Rusev and Aiden English should win the tag titles. Being said, I actually think they're going to want to validate Benjamin and Gable here. This is a long shot. But they might want to have Benjamin and get team titles and just like, all right, well, we gave it to them. We're going to give these guys a shot with it.
Right.
Against the Usos for a little bit.
Yeah.
New Day doesn't need it. But, of course, they kind of want the New Day to break the tag team record, the other tag team record, and as in most reigns. To happen, they have to win the tag titles for a little bit more.
Right.
And they can't let the Usos win the tag titles. A reign or two more, I think, on the New Day. I'm going to say it's either Benjamin and Gable or the New Day. I'm going to lead towards Benjamin and Gable for the moment.
Okay. First of all, this is definitely the match that's going to start the night because this has the potential to have the most spots and be the craziest and it's that kind of match that gets the crowd going. So this is definitely going to be the first match on the main card. Definitely. I agree with you. I think somebody's going to get a transitional reign. I think the New Day gets it back, but I think they get it back at Mania. That's what I'm thinking. So I kind of think that they're going to go back to the Usos versus New Day at Mania because they like that feud. That's just my feeling. I'm not 100% sure on that though. So I think either Rusev and Aiden English or Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable is going to win this match. I'm leaning more towards Benjamin and Gable only because I feel like they might be transitioning this into Benjamin and Gable versus Rusev and Aiden English, dominating the tag, having a little bit of a feud for a little bit, and then they'll do some kind of thing before Mania where they get it to the New Day and the Usos again. So I'll agree with you. I'll go with Benjamin and Gable. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rusev and Aiden English because I heard people really like that group, that team, but I agree with you. I think Benjamin and Gable, and I think this is going to be a really good match. Fun match. So, all right, next up, SmackDown. Wow. SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair versus Natalya in a lumberjack match. Oh, I hate lumberjack matches. I really do. Because they're basically, I don't know, even if you get a decent, you can't get a decent match out because you're so focused on everything on the outside. I think Charlotte's retaining here. And I think that, this is their way of like trying to keep, because I think they really want to keep Natalya as their strong heel in this division. And I think this is their way of doing it, like, okay, or finding a way to extend this feud even more. It's like, well, if the Lumberjacks weren't there. So, yeah, I think Charlotte's retaining here, and I don't think this is going to be a good match. I feel bad because I think Charlotte and Natalya work well together. I hate that the Lumberjack stipulation's here. And it won't get as much time as it should because of that. But, yeah, I think Charlotte's retaining here with help from the Lumberjacks. Mike?
Oh, Charlotte's definitely winning. The Lumberjills are there.
Yes, Lumberjills.
The Lumberjills are there because I think the Riot Squad.
Oh yeah, good point.
Be the big factor in it.
That's a good point.
So
That's a
the
good point.
Fed's going to be there's going to be, I think, the big thing there. That's why there's a lumberjill
Yeah,
stipulation to begin with. So I think the
right.
Riot Squad is going to play a big part in this, but I think in the end it doesn't matter. Charlotte was always going to win this match. Who cares? I mean, it's going to be what it is. So yeah,
Yeah, Charlotte.
in this match, it's going to be Charlotte.
All right. I'll do the next one so you can do the main event. So that because I know you want the main event. WWE Champion AJ Styles versus Jinder Mahal. I'm gonna be short and sweet with this. If Jinder Mahal just lost to Triple H at the India show, there's no way Jinder Mahal is winning this title back. It's just the bottom line. Look, could maybe because I've seen people go, well, maybe because they did that, that's just a way to throw people off to the fact that Jinder's gonna win. No, Jinder, I don't. If Jinder Mahal wins, gets back the title on AJ Styles, I would be so freaking shocked that I would believe that anything's possible when it comes to this year as far as WrestleMania goes. Because if they do that, then I just don't know. I don't know. I've lost all faith in their logical booking. Because there's no way that you can have Jinder win this off AJ Styles after the way they booked them, not only all along but the last few weeks. So in my opinion, they'll try to make this match go for a good amount of time because they don't have much else. But it's not going to be look, AJ will make it work. AJ got the best match out of Jinder Mahal on SmackDown. So it'll probably be serviceable at least. But I think AJ Styles retains the WWE Championship. Mike?
I also think AJ Styles retains the WWE Championship. If this match happened about a month ago, I would have thought that Jinder Mahal would probably. All right, if this happened after Survivor Series, I would have thought, and before the India tour, I would have thought Jinder Mahal would have retained the title.
Mm-hmm.
Tour's over. There's no need for Jinder to have the title now.
Right.
Jinder Mahal has a match at WrestleMania, but he doesn't have a major match, but he has a match at WrestleMania, singles match. There is, I think, his time with the title right now is done.
He had a long time with it. So.
And he had a long time, and he should have dropped the title at SummerSlam. And I think AJ Styles, who is going to get a good match out of Jinder Mahal, because AJ Styles is going to get a match on generally everybody, he's going to retain easily. Not easily. It's good. It's an easy pick. Retain the title here. It's going to be a fine match, though.
Now, we have what I think is going to be the main event, even though people seem to think it won't be, but it's got to be. Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan as special guest referees. And if Owens and Zayn lose, they are fired from WWE. We talked a little bit about this earlier in regards to SmackDown. Mike, go ahead.
I believe it's going to main event. Because program did SmackDown essentially for the last month and have main evented SmackDown for that. Ugh. Owens and Zayn, Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura, Bryan and Shane McMahon as referees. And if Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn lose, they are fired from WWE. Not SmackDown, but WWE. Yeah. If this had one less stipulation, there would be way more uncertainty here. I think there's a 65% chance that the winners of this match are going to be Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Because Daniel Bryan has now interfered with this match. I think there's going to be a ref bump. Not intentional, but I think there's going to be a ref bump. And I think Shane's going to be the one taken out. Story to tell in the world. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn move on Orton and Nakamura. They get the pin. Daniel Bryan counts the pin, and their jobs are saved. I don't know how good this match is going to be. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, obviously great competitors. So is Nakamura and Orton. So are Nakamura and Orton. It's hard to say who's going to take the fall in this match. I'd be willing to bet it's Orton, but who knows? But I mean, I don't have too much more to say because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. If the career thing wasn't on the line, I think maybe Orton and Nakamura would win. Because there's nowhere really for them to go if Orton and Nakamura win. And Owens and Zayn are out of the company for the moment. There. The story has to continue. Owens are still around. Shane's fuming that Daniel Bryan had to assert himself in and be a referee. That's the only real logical way the feud goes forward.
Right.
Forward. So Owens and Nakamura are gonna Owens and Nakamura team. Owens and Shinsuke. And Owens and Sami Zayn are going to win. They're going to save their careers. And see how they do it.
I mean, look, it's WWE, so I don't always read anything into the firing stipulations because they always reverse them. You know how they are. But I agree with you. I think that we were already talking off air, and everybody was, about the idea that, there was going to be some kind of like bump or something, and Daniel Bryan was going to do something, and now he's in the match as a referee. So I think that, and they've been teasing the tension, and Daniel Bryan doesn't like what's going on, and all that stuff has been building for weeks now. I agree with you. I think that, the way that they presented this, they pretty much laid it out like, everybody's going to, they've set it up to make everybody think Orton and Nakamura are going to win because Owens and Zayn have kind of gotten the inside track here going in. So they've kind of set this up for them to win. For it to look like Orton and Nakamura are going to win this because Owens and Zayn have been kind of have gotten the win going in here. Or Owens has anyway. So look, this is going to be a fun match, and there's going to be theatrics with the referee angle and that. There's going to be some kind of bump. Or something's going to happen, and Bryan's going to end up doing the count. And Shane's going to get upset because Bryan was in the match or something. And that's what's going to happen. Because you're right. If you have Orton and Nakamura win, there's no drama. There's no drama. There's nothing that comes out of this match with these stipulations. None of it makes any sense. None of it. You don't have. There's no tension between Bryan and Shane. There's nothing to be. There's no story to be told. So in order for the story to be told and for there to be more to go on, Owens and Zayn have to win. And there has to be something to do with the referee stipulation. So that's what I think is going to happen. I think you're right. There'll be some kind of bump or whatever, and Daniel Bryan will count it, and Owens and Zayn will win. It'll make for an interesting direction on SmackDown going forward. That's for sure. So we'll see if it leads to something for Daniel Bryan or not, because that's what everybody's thinking. But so I think, I agree with you. Owens and Zayn, I think, are going to win the match. So I expect Sunday. I don't think they'll add anything else to Sunday either, by the way. Maybe a couple backstage segments or something. But I expect Sunday to be interesting. I think the main event with Owens, Zayn, Nakamura, Orton, and company will be good. I think there's, the tag match has the potential to be good. And the triple threat match has the potential to be good on top of, obviously, what I think is going to be the main event. So I think it'll be an okay show. I don't think it'll be great. The last pay-per-view of the year, right around Christmas, usually isn't that great, to be honest. I mean, well, when TOC was around, it used to be sometimes good, but I mean, it is what it is. It's kind of like a burn off to kind of get things keep things going until they get to the Rumble. So it'll be what it'll be. So this Sunday, Clash of Champions on the WWE Network, pre-show 7 p.m. Eastern. Main card starts at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time Sunday. I didn't mention it when we were doing entertainment, but I'll mention it really quickly now. People want because somebody asked me, well, you didn't say anything about the Golden Globes. I'm going to be very quick. I'm going to say this. I'm happy for Stranger Things. I'm happy for Game of Thrones from fan standpoint. I'm very happy about The Disaster Artist and James Franco. We saw that over the weekend. It was really good. I'm happy for The Greatest Showman and Hugh Jackman. I haven't seen it yet, but I look forward to it. I'm happy for Dunkirk and Christopher Nolan. I'm happy for Coco. And I'm speaking simply from a fan card standpoint here right now. So, in general, though, I think the majority of the nominees were okay. I think there were some glaring omissions. I think there were some movies that I thought I would have liked to have seen a nomination tossed towards Patty Jenkins and Wonder Woman. I thought for sure that might be because so many people were championing the film. I thought for sure that would happen, but it didn't. So I would have liked to have seen Logan represented. I would have liked to see a little bit more representation for Get Out. But like I said, overall, I didn't think they were bad nominees. Golden Globes usually, Golden Globes don't usually infuriate me. I usually look at them and go, all right, this is not bad. And that's exactly what they were. I looked at them and I'm like, oh, that's not bad. It wasn't great, but it was just not bad. I'll watch. I'll be excited for certain things, and that'll be it. I also give them credit for nominating Catherine Langsford from 13 Reasons Why. I thought she deserved more accolades, and she did get nominated, so I'm glad for her as well. So, but overall, like I said, Golden Globes, I usually look at the nominees and I go, okay. And that's the same thing I did this year. Okay. I look at the Oscars and I go, what the hell? Or the Emmys and I'll go, what the hell? But when we look at the Golden Globes, I go, okay. All right. Not great, but I can. It's enough for me to be interested. So that's my reaction. That's all I got for you folks. I don't have any other extreme reaction to it, to be honest. And they're early this year. The Golden Globes are January 9th, so you had long to wait to see what happens there. So yeah, see, all right. So we got through everything. We had a lot to do. It's obviously very late, so let's start the clock towards winding down here. As always, the show might be over. Does not mean that you have to stop interacting with the show. Continue to have your voice heard. Send us your feedback, questions about the show, and scheduling of the show, topic ideas, or breaking news items related to sports, entertainment, or wrestling that you want us to cover. Questions about the show, scheduling the show, member bat requests. You can continue to send those in for the next week. The next Tuesday is the deadline for that. So please keep that in mind. Any questions about the In the Spotlight Film Awards, you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. Of course, again, any submissions can be done by email only, so keep that in mind as well. So email address for the show, itspotlight411@gmail.com. Again, you can tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. Facebook, In the Spotlight 401 is what you want to search for. And then once you find our fan page, make sure you like it, and then you can follow us anytime. Social media, very important. You want to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Again, on Twitter, you can tweet us at itspotlight401. Use the hashtag itspotlight401. And on Facebook, search for In the Spotlight 411, and then like our page once you find it. And again, when you're on Twitter and Facebook and you're following us, you have access to scheduling information, any updates about the show, any other random things that we post. You have access to all that more. So make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter. 2 ways to keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. You can either stream us anytime on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. And when you do, you'll be taken to our show pages on both sites where you can stream any of the episodes we've ever produced since October of 2015 when we started, since mid-October of 2015 when we started producing episodes on Google Plus and YouTube. So any of those episodes can be streamed anytime you want. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Google Plus and YouTube. If streaming's not your thing, maybe prefer to listen to us rather than see us. Maybe you'll listen to us on the go. Maybe you're interested in older episodes of the show. If any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on both those sites. And when you do, you'll be taken to our show pages on both sites. You'll find every episode we ever produced in the over 7 years we've been doing the show. So it's all our episodes from our original run on Blog Talk Radio from October 2010 to January 2011. All of our episodes from Talk Shoe from January 2011 all the way up to mid-October 2015. And all of our episodes from Google Plus and YouTube. All the episodes we've ever produced from Google Plus and YouTube from mid-October 2015 all the way up to tonight's current episode. All transfer into audio format for your convenience. Every episode we've ever done transfer into audio format for your convenience in order from the most recent date, being tonight, all the way to the oldest, way back in October 2010, all in audio format for you to listen to anytime you want, whether it's on the go, at home. Maybe you're a longtime fan and want to look back at an episode from a long time ago, or a new fan wants to check out an episode from way back when for the first time, or keep up with current episodes. Any of that you can do on Podbean and iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes are your ways to keep up with the show. Look back at classics. Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, your ways to keep up with the show and look back at classic episodes. Search for In the Spotlight 411. Again, search for In the Spotlight 411. Okay, I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
Things before I go and say it's time for bed, because it really is time for bed.
Yes.
There is somebody on Twitter whose Twitter name is Alan. It's at Alan _cheap shot. Cheap shot is one word. And the tweet I'm even mentioning is one he tweeted 1 day ago, and it's all about Ming / Tonga stories. And if you're a wrestling person and you're not aware, Haku is one of the toughest human beings in the business. This guy is coming at you. And this is Jake Roberts. Jake Roberts. This is a real life quote from Jake the Snake Roberts. Gun and was sitting inside a tank with one shell left. And Haku is 300 yards away. He's mine, right? What I'm going to do is jump out of the tank and shoot myself because I don't want to bitch and have him pissed off at me. All of these stories about Haku are true, by the way, and those stories include biting a guy's nose off, biting a guy's eye out, up to him, and said wrestling wasn't real, right? Wrestling's fake. So Ming took 2 fingers and ripped out his teeth. Half of the guys. These are a lot of stories from wrestlers that I would highly recommend. Just looking at, because Ming stories are phenomenally interesting. Number 2, worth talking about again. Alabama didn't elect the pedophile. Saying alleged. I'm not saying alleged. The man is a legitimate pedophile. Roy Moore. Doug Jones, the prosecutor who prosecuted Klan for their murdering those 4 little black girls way back in the day. Doug Jones put those Klan members in jail. Jones won Senate seat today. And here's the thing. And I'm going to mention this specifically because I don't mention politics here, and sometimes I have, sometimes I haven't. And you're welcome to your political opinions. Doug Jones won majorly was African American voters. And there were cases today of attempted oppression in Alabama. 70% of white males voted for Roy Moore because, of course, white people, right? Something like 30 to 40% of white women, over 40% of white women voted for, because South Park got it right. Percent of African American males voted for Doug Jones. 97% of African American females Jones. Essentially, so African American men and women in Alabama, especially the women, did the right thing. Pedophile didn't go to the Senate. So, story, and it kind of transcends political party, because were you willing to sell your soul? A pedophile better than party? Was somebody who wanted to repeal every amendment after the 10th worth more? And African American men and women said in Alabama tonight, they fixed the mistake the white people in Alabama, the majority of white people of Alabama were about to make. I wanted to mention that because it's an important kind of moment for our current history. Republican. Nothing is more important than protection of children, and if you're going to allow into your then your morals mean nothing. Also, it's time for bed.
And it's all over Twitter right now. That
As well as it should.
Yeah, that's actually what I was reading when you earlier. Because I was tracking it and I kind of saw how everything was going down. So yeah.
But the thing is, the big deal isn't over yet. In 2 days, the FCC votes on net neutrality. And look, and I've said it once before, and I'll say it one more time. It's one of the biggest issues, generation, and it transcends party.
Mm-hmm.
Transcends party. Saying, excuse me, call your senators, call your congressmen. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, let me tell you something. Text resist to 50409 and they will thing. It's called the resist bot. And what it will do is it'll help you write your senators, it'll help you write your congressmen. Issue you feel is important. So it's a big issue. It will automatically send faxes and emails to your congressmen, to your senators, and to that orange dumbass in office. So if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself, this is a great way of doing it. There. Also, for real.
Yeah. Okay, so we don't bring up politics that often, but that was significant, so I'm kind of glad he brought that up. All right, because I'm getting a lot of mail. Just before we go off the air, let me just acknowledge. I know what happened earlier. My mom called in the middle of the show. Okay, I was kind of rude to Mike, and I was rude because he was laughing. He was laughing, and what he was laughing, he was laughing at my mom calling during the show and her getting on the air. I know he wasn't meaning to laugh at what was being said. And it kind of struck a nerve.
Let me say this. I didn't hear what your mom said.
Okay. Which, well, like I said, at the time,
just laughing at just the fact that your mom made it on the air.
Right. Well, listen, it was for what she said on the answering machine kind of got me, and that's why I kind of trailed off, and that's why I was out of it for a few minutes there, where I was trying to focus and I couldn't. And it was a bit of bad news, and it's a former teacher of mine passed away. That's what she was trying to so left me a message about. So that's why I kind of got snippy. Because you were laughing. I'm like, I pretty much should have knew that you didn't hear it because there's no way you could have heard it, but at least all of it. But so I apologize for that, and I want to acknowledge that. So it was just hearing bad news, and I got a little snippy about it. And so you know, it was an elementary school teacher. So that's what she was calling to tell me. And normally somebody answers the phone, but everybody's in bed because we're having some snow here. So everybody's getting their Z's early so they can be up early. So, and by the way, if you are in winter weather and such, be safe. And for those still impacted by the wildfires and again, our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody impacted by the wildfires in California as well. I want to note that too. Okay. So Mike, we already said, did the shout out with Mike. I also pat myself on the back for another great show and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. Those will be watching, listening to this later. Thank you to you as well. I know it was long tonight. We went late, but it's the only show this week, so we're done until next week. Remember, ballot requests, you have until next Tuesday at 9 o'clock Eastern Time to get those in. The In the Spotlight Film Awards process starts now. Very, very exciting. We'll be back with 2 shows next week on Tuesday and Thursday, both at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Sports and wrestling on Tuesday, entertainment on Thursday. So that'll all be coming at you next week. So until then, I hope you have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week, a great weekend, and a great start to your week. Next week, we'll see you back here a week from tonight. That is next Tuesday, December the 19th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, have a good night, everybody.